In the criminal justice system, the people are represented by two separate yet equally important groups: the police who investigate crime and the district attorneys who prosecute the offenders.
That's assault, man. That's assault, man. Break that up, man. Pop that chair, man. That's assault, man. That's assault, man. Break that up, man. Break that up, pop that chair, man. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault, man. That's assault, man. You cannot touch me like that. Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Break that up, man. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault. That's assault. We have video of her just out of that. Excuse me. Excuse me. That's assault. That's you cannot touch me like that. Break that up. Break that up. Oh, I will be telling you. Break that up. That's assault. That's assault. That's assault. Break that. That's assault. We have video of her just. These people are going to eject you from this line. Out of that show. I will be assault. It is incredibly appropriate. I will. You cannot touch me like that. That's assault. Break that up. Flop that chair here. Man, you cannot touch me like that. It is incredible. That's assault. Break that up. That's assault. Break that up. Flop that chair. Man, flop that chair. Man, flop that chair. Man, these people are going to eject you from this line. Break that up. Break that up. Break that up. That's assault. Break that up. Man, break that up. Oh, I will. Man, that's assault. That's assault. Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Flop that chair. That's assault. Break that up. That's assault. Break that up. Break that up. Pop that chair here. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault. That's assault. It is. You cannot touch me like that. Oh, I will tell you exactly what happened. Break that up. Break that up. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault. That's assault. We have video of her just touching. How did that show? I will be. Excuse me. Excuse me. Break that up. That's assault. Excuse Pop that chair. You cannot touch me like that. Break that up. Break that up. Break that. Break that. Break that. Oh, I will be telling.
Andrea experienced her first earthquake today, everyone. Holy shit. Andrea, I'm glad that you're okay. I want to know everything. Tell us everything. Do you want to call in? I have questions. Do you want to call in Albert? What is an earthquake like? Did the earth shake? Did everything fall? Did people scream? Did the street split open? I have so many questions. Did you see Jesus? What did you think was happening? Did your bed collapse and turn into a chamber and you fell in it and you were protected? Or do you just have a regular bed? I have so many questions.
Break that up. Break that up. That's assault. That's assault. That's assault. Flop that. Break that. That's assault. Flop that chair here. We have video of her just. These people are going to eject you from this line. How did that show? I will assault. It is incredibly appropriate. I will. You cannot touch me like that. That's assault. Break that up. Flop that chair here. Man, you cannot touch me like that. It is incredible. That's assault. Break that up. That's assault. Break that up. Flop that chair. Flop that chair. Flop that chair. Man, these people are. These people are going to eject you from this line. Break that up. That's break that up. Break that up. That's assault. Break that up. Break that up. Oh, I will. That's assault. That's assault. Oh, I will. That's assault. 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 Oh, I will. That's assault. 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 Oh, I will be telling you. That's assault. 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 Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Flop that chair here. That's assault. Break that up. That's assault. That's assault. Oh, I will be telling you. That's assault. That's assault. Oh, I will be telling you. That's assault. 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 Oh, I will. That's assault. 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 That's assault.
Dude, that is assault on the earth, dude. Andrea saw and did an earthquake. She was in an earthquake, dude. Yeah, she saw one, she did one, she had one. You'll call on at some point. Good. Make some tea, but don't make the green Chinese tea. Okay. That is crazy. Oh my God. Did I do that? Because I was like, I remember last night manifesting earthquake for Andrea. Earthquake. I'm just fucking with you. I'm glad you're okay though. I did poke the box with the stick. Actually, what happened was I complained on Twitter to no one, and I barely have any followers on my new account, but for some reason they still DM'd me. And it was like the middle of the night. And it really did look like an AI. Like it was overly helpful and spoke well. Not like Yuriy Bookeekee, but yeah, it was weird. And I told it what happened. And then it said to unplug my shit, wait a minute and plug it in. And I was like, I've done that a million times. And it was like, do it. And then I did it again and then it worked. So I guess they fixed it. I don't know. What's really mad? The earth? Uh-oh. I was in one in Virginia in 2011. And I was so dizzy and felt like poo beforehand. And then it hit and I felt better after. Basically, I'm a dog. You're a doggy. Actually, you know what, Andrea? Since you had to experience an earthquake, and I know how much you like one particular video, I do feel like maybe, I don't know, I feel like maybe the earthquake is a sign, because you're not going to believe what I pulled for you kids today. Because I know it's Saturday and I want to try to do Saturday sillies every Saturday, but I was like, it's hard to do sillies with court stuff because the court stuff is so sad sometimes. But the court stuff yesterday was pretty silly, and that's what we're going over today. So I slipped some Saturday sillies in the morning. And the ones that I picked, well, let's just say, am I psychic? Because here they are. I pulled these off of his Instagram. His handle is located on them, and I will link them in the bottom. This one is for our girl Andrea. In fact, it's not even one. How many is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these next 9 short, all about a minute or less videos are dedicated to Andrea and her earthquake. And I'm just tripping out right now that you got to experience that, but also that, I don't know, Dad just had the foresight to maybe do something like this.
Salam alaikum, sister. Alaikum salam. What you are doing? Look me in my back. Sister, what you are doing? You need to come this side. Give me your hand. Come over here. No, go away. Leave me alone. I am tired. I need to have a shower now. Wallahi, I am not joking. Sister, you don't even have shampoo. You're not jumping. What do you mean? No, I don't want to. I already use shampoos and conditioner already. Don't tell me what to do. Because, Habibti, if you come with me in my room, I give you ice cream chocolate. Ice cream, you know what is this? Of course I know what is ice cream. It's stupid. It's my favorite. Oh, sorry. Yalla, yalla, Habibti, give me your hand. Let's come. Is enough. Is people gonna come looking at us? They think you are crazy. Give me your hand. Okay. You give me ice cream, okay? Okay, Habibti, yalla, put one foot up again, we do last time. Yeah, what you are doing, stupid, hold it. So people ask me about my baby doggy wife. Close your legs, sister, we are on the camera. She's named Sandra Lella bint al-Kalb al-Baghdadi. Bint al-Kalb means daughter of dog. Sandra Lella, daughter of dog al-Baghdadi, Bruce the third. First baby doggy without first, because I'm the Bruce the first. Chuki is Bruce 2 the first. She's Bruce the third. That's her name, her full name. She's sleeping now. She's very cute. She's underage wife of my baby doggy, because Chuki is also under the age. He's not racist. Jeffrey Epstein Island. No, he never go to that island. I take him to Armenia, Macedonia, and different countries. The time today, September 9/11, RIP. I condone that stuff. We condone it all together, me and my baby doggy. Hey, look who I find it here in the desert. A small baby doggy. Meow. Where is your mother? Doggy. He keeps sucking my toes. I think he's LGQ TV candidate, but I don't mind. Now you wash your plate, because every day I clean for you. Now today you clean yourself.
Today I take my baby doggy to get a rabbi's vaccination. Hey, stay under the sit down. Is the air conditioner touch you good?
I don't understand why baby doggy have to get rabbi's vaccination. So what if he's racist? He's not racist, he's just a baby.
This is for happy born day. Blow him, blow him. Don't eat this one.
New update on my baby doggy today. He's now 3 hands long.
He have a passport now. Stop licking me, son of a LGQ HD TV advocate.
We're gonna take him to the United Kingdom. Hey, I have another baby doggy. She's mother died, and I'm gonna take her to make her wife for Chuki.
Look at this long boy.
Look, his wife tried to get his attention, but he don't care.
So because Taqtogi bin Wolf al-Baghdadi Bruce II the first is little bit gay and his brother Antar bin Wolf al-Baghdadi Bruce II the fourth is not gay, I brought them something. Here LGQHD TV candidate, that's chicken toes, eat them. No, you Antar, wait, I'm gonna give you head. I'm gonna give you head. Wait, I'm gonna give you head. Here's chicken head for you, Antar. Yes, yes, go eat. Whoa, 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 whoa. Calm down, you LGQHD TV toe-licking candidate. Oh my God, and your brother also. I'm so happy to see you as much as you're happy to see me. Hey, look what I find here in the bushes. Meow. Small baby doggy. Where is your mother? Why you are so tiny? Wait, let's measure you. 1.5 middle finger. Find it, baby doggy, his brother. I just went inside into the same rubbish place. Look, I don't know if he is a she or she's a he, brother or sister. We're gonna do gender for real. Let me see. He's a man. Your name is Antar bin Akmush al-Baghdadi, Bruce the fourth second. Look, he is urinating on his brother's face. Oh my God, look how he's sleeping. Show them that this is not good. You are his brother. You should not do stuff like that. Look at your beautiful, cute face. And here is the mascara in your eye.
They are half from Nigeria and half Iraqi, so we call them Nigaraki.
6, 7 middle finger long. Ah, he bite her in my nipple. Stay with the gay boy. One is becoming fat. And one is skinny. Hey, you're not gonna believe my eye when I tell you, guess what has happened? I find it, baby doggy, his brother. I just went inside into the same rubbish place. Look, I don't know if he is a she or she's a he, brother or sister. We're gonna do gender for real. Let me see. He's a man. You have a brother. Look, the faces, subhanallah. That's definitely his brother. But one look like Hindi, one look like from United Kingdom. You have a brother now, Taqtogi. Your name is Antar bin Akmush al-Baghdadi, Bruce the fourth second. Wow. You're gonna live a good life. You're not gonna stay in the rubbish anymore. I went in the same bushes, the same area, and I heard I say, oh my God, see? Taqtogi bin Wolf al-Baghdadi. Look, he is urinating on his brother's face. Listen. This is a guy and it's your brother sibling. No penetration, no excavation, and you have to behavation. Don't bite him. Oh my God, look how they sleep. Every day, see-through condom worm snakefish with raw egg and baby eggs of another fish. And you eat it alive. What if they're gonna have a family inside your baby in your belly? They're gonna make babies, penetration each other, and they're gonna live there forever, happily ever after. This is crazy. It's so slimy. It cannot even get any more slimy if you inside it. I never seen like that in my life. Imagine they're gonna have a nation inside you, and they start coming out from all of it, everywhere. This is called shiru no odirigu. Something like that. It's a Japanese dish for rich people. Thank you, my God, that I have no money for that. I swear to God, because that's crazy. Baby doggy number 1, baby doggy number 2. The people say to me, don't hold them like this. But the people is dumb, because when the baby is a beautiful puppy like this one, he haven't bitten or extra skin here. Yes, if I grab him from the way back, he's gonna go, he's gonna cry. If I grab him from the front, he's gonna look like a Chinese guy. So there's a certain spot. If you know how to catch the spot, it will be satisfaction. So you need to understanding how to treating the dogs. Don't hold them like that. This is animal cruelty. You coming out of your house and showing the people your face is animal cruelty. Ugly boy. Look at these beautiful dogs.
Are you being animal cruelty tied? Look, he have a heart on his head. This guy have a sword. They are dangerous people. Dangerous people. Be careful. The dog is playing with the children of Zaria. Some of the people think they are animal expert and they say, don't give raw meat to dogs. You are not even an expert on your own body. What do you think these dogs in the wild, what they do? They go to a restaurant and order steak, or their mother used to cook for them. No, they eat raw meat. They love that. Sometimes raw meat, sometimes vegetable. I feed them everything. Yes? Stop being animal expert in my comment section below. I swear to God, I'm tired of you, baby. I bring them cow ass to eat. Antar, tagtogi. Let your brother eat tagtogi. I bring you a whole plate for yourself here. Why you don't eat your own plate? Eat from this plate. Don't let Antar growl at you. Antar, I swear on my mother life, if you growl one more time, I will bite you. Like that. Eat, good boys. Nice one. Eat him, yes. Yes, this is fresh cow ass meat. I even give you a bone with it. You can chew on the bone raw.
So anyway, I felt compelled to put all of those on the playlist last night. And I was literally thinking, fuck, Andrea's going to love this. Just because you are very outspoken about the Muslim gay doggies. And I picked my favorite 9 because he's got so many. And you should totally go follow him. I think it's Bruce, which I don't know if that's short for brucellosis or if his name is Bruce, right? What a great morning to play that on. It's very calming for Andrea while she fucking bugs. Yeah, I'm embracing the no. Oh, I almost fell into that one. Don't you dare, you're grounded. Okay. So let's get back to LBGTQH candidate.
Okay, the bowel. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of my bowel history. Every Sunday, my dad used to go in the bathroom to have his bowel movement. Sometimes I'd hear a little, and I'd go in for my bowel movement. And I would go in, and it was like a green cloud, a toxic waste dump in there. I remember sometimes it wouldn't come out. And when it did, it was kind of like, once I pooped in my pants in school, and I just left it in all day. And that to me was pooping. I had a young lady come to me. She said a bowel movement came out of him as long as from her fingertips to her elbow, as big around as her forearm. She said that once it was in the toilet, they couldn't flush it down. Her husband had to get a shovel out of the garage and chop it up. I love bowel stories. Want to hear about some worms?
You guys want to hear about some worms?
The other thing they proved over 8 years and 8 weeks and 50 plus misses is that Monica Lewinsky, I knew I was going to do that once. And I apologize. Monica Simontilli.
Okay, so that is a real trial that just happened recently. It's happening. And this guy called his client, Monica Simontilli, he called her Monica Lewinsky. Why? I don't fucking know, but he did. Okay. Time to show you some of the stuff I'm going to show you. Let's get into it. What do we got next? Okay. So, how many of you guys watched the Dateline last night of Brian Kohberger? Because I did not. I saw some snippets. I saw some snippities. And I saw Keith Morrison, who is Bay. He is on the pillow, which will be back soon. I saw him talking about it. So I was like, okay, let's get a preview of it and see what's going on here. Because it is 2 hours long, and that's really long. So, Nate, you watched it. What did you think, Angela? 1 to 10. Did you learn anything new? Because I also saw a preview interview with Mr. Gonsalves, and we are going to watch that. It's 4 minutes long. And he talked about some of the new info. And this is not a video we've watched already of him. It's a whole different new interview he did with Bam Bam. And he pretty much gave a preview into what you're going to see on Dateline. And then so did Keith Morrison. And then I went on the internet and I found a rip of it because I still cannot figure out where to watch Dateline. And that's kind of crazy because I watched the shit out of it on my Roku, but the new one I couldn't find anywhere. So I'm going to try to find it. I'll put a link in Discord if I do. But yeah, I do plan on finding the shit out of that and watching all of it. I saw snippets from A Daily Motion, and I just didn't have the time to do it all because I was working. So what I did was I went through it. I checked on some of the stuff that they did mention in both the interviews with the dad and Keith and what I could find. Is it on Peacock? Well, I fucking have Peacock. Then I will watch it there. Perfect. I checked on some of the things that I took notes on in the interviews with Keith and with Mr. Gonzalez. And I went ahead and I found the snippets or the proof, if you will, from the Dateline itself. Again, this is pulled from the Dateline, but I have not fully seen all of it. Here are some of the key takeaways, though, that I did take notes on that I saw snippets of, and I was like, oh, holy fuck. Now, one of them comes to us from our girl, Turbo, who we all adore. She's the best. And this is one of the things that Gonsalves was hinting at in his interviews. Internet searches for pornography with the words forced, passed out, drugged, and sleeping were mentioned apparently in the Dateline. And that is something that Mr. Gonsalves says, I am interested to see if the Dateline touches on the criminal that used to be in touch with Kohberger, who met him through the Reddit post and would get calls in the middle of the night from Brian Kohberger asking him questions and to kind of repeat some of the stuff he had already talked about, including the fact that when he would break into houses, he would do it typically by listening to police radios and stuff like that. And he would find domestic violence calls. And whenever the male was taken away to jail, he would, this criminal would go rob the place. And Brian was really interested in hearing a lot about how the women were passed out and vulnerable in the house. And the criminal was like, and I could have taken advantage of them. And he seemed into that. So that's very interesting. Good morning, Vermont Brad Smith. Yeah. Burlington, Vermont. Yep. And also Ted Bundy, there was that whole rumor that that could have been where his first kill was. That little girl who, the piano teacher, I don't know if it was her daughter or just the piano teacher taught another little girl. Not judging. And Angela, yes, BK had a girlfriend and was not interested in sex. I didn't see that part yet. That's crazy. Now I'm interested in hearing about this. Here's another thing. So these internet searches, very reminiscent of course. Yeah, we don't birth shame here. It's not your fault. It's not your fault where you were born. Even if it was the back of a fucking pickup, it's fine, huh? And I am trying to be quiet because of my Muslim gay doggy who is paced out in the other room and keeps waking up and running in and wanting to play. And I'm exhausted because I played ball with him all night and all morning. Like we would just run outside. He's got so much energy since he's been on kangaroo food and he's jumping around a lot, but he's also getting bit by mosquitoes. So I have to be careful with how much we're spending almost too much time outside, which can you imagine? But yeah, baby Hoogie's been fucking wild as shit, dude. Baby Hoogie has been out of control. He's been acting like a baby again. So he's just totally fucking amped up, dude. And I was like, did someone give this dog cocaine? Like, what is going on with him? He's just been hyper as fuck. Which is great. I love that. I just think maybe he is going to turn into a kangaroo, and that stresses me out. Okay, so these are some pictures that were apparently pulled. Let me show you these. Of Brian Kohberger. I don't know, trying to be a hype beast or something. Just pictures from his phone, I guess, of him posing in, look, I've taken pictures just like this as a joke with my roommates because I'm a comic and we were like, with fucking hoods on and just being stupid, but like I don't think I've ever done that alone. Like, I don't know. I'm not a big selfie person. Just the idea of taking a shitload of selfies, I don't know. It just feels weird to me. It's not weird if other people do it. It's just, for me, it's not something I would ever do. But this guy fucking loves it. He has all these selfies of him in these hoodies and shit. Again, it's like it's a guy taking pictures of himself in a hoodie. Maybe you want to see what he looked like, but like, I don't know, he looks fucking creepy. And I get it. Like, I can get how this could be swayed either way. Seeing how scary he looks. Yeah. Good morning, Julie. Good morning. Do you have a baby pool for him when he's hot? So here, we have we have like a weird thing. Like, everybody in the neighborhood, there's a church nearby, and everybody in the neighborhood has like sprinklers, and our landlord controls all that shit. And like, everybody in the area will put like pesticides and shit down. It can like fuck up his tummy. But so like in our yard, like I figured, because we don't have a sprinkler system, I was like, let's set him up a pool one time. So we did, and he just got really muddy and he kind of hated it. And like every time a dog would go by, he'd like run after it because we don't have a fence. So I got a sprinkler pad for him, and once in a while we take him out to that. I found that he much prefers the park splash pad though, and they do allow dogs, so I take him there and he gets to run with the kids. He really likes running with little kids and like jumping, and they love playing with him. So we go to a splash pad like once a month, and he plays a lot with the kids, and then I'll spray him with the sprinkler or turn on this like little sprinkling thing outside, because if he just gets into a pool, he gets soaking wet, and then he tries to, there's no like keeping him in. And I'm also scared he's gonna cut his nose. But I don't know. I'm struggling with that. I want to get him one, but I do know other dogs are gonna get in it and like want to play in it, and that's fine and all, but like, I don't know. I just feel weird. Like, I don't want to spread any diseases to other dogs. I don't know what kind of, here there's like a weird algae that gets on puddles of water and it can kill dogs. And I don't know if it's like an air quality thing, or if it's Austin water, or if it's just, they say it's like tepid water or something, like puddles and shit. You have to be careful. I think it's called like, it's not called blue algae, is it? Yeah, it's like, I don't know. The vet said don't share pools and stuff, but like splash pads are okay. And I'm like, why? And she told me about this like waterborne thing, like if you leave the water out in the sun too long. So I'm like, I can't just be constantly refilling a pool. Like, it just feels weird. I don't know. And Hugin doesn't get as big of a thrill of them. He likes it when the water shoots up and shit. So yeah, that's what we do. Anyway, doesn't Brian look creepy? Okay, so check this out. This is the other thing. Yes, standing water. It's like when it's standing and it's under the sun. First, it attracts mosquitoes, which carry heartworms. Second, all the little kiddie pools that are here have like sharp edges on the outside. So there's that. I'm just like, this is why I couldn't be a parent. I'd be like, don't fucking touch other kids. Don't go near anything. Is that sharp? Let me see your face. Let me clean it. Let me clean your hand. Like, I'm like that with Hugin. And yeah, he does have a water sport onesie. He does. And he doesn't do water sports. He just plays in the fucking puddle or the sprinkler thing. But he loves puddles. So when it's a fresh rain, like right when it rains, I'll let him play in a puddle. But if it's beyond a day, I don't. I think I panicked because we had a neighbor a while back whose dog got really sick playing in like a little pool thing with some other dogs at the dog park, and it got like real sick, and it had to have like a $3,000 surgery, and then it went blind, and I was like, what the fuck happened to your dog? So I'm just super paranoid about that stuff. Buggy won't, but what's weird is he did get into a pool once with chlorine. He like just jumped in it and then got out real quick, and he like loved it. And his dog sitter said he loves chlorinated pools, but I was like, I don't know if that's okay. And the vet like gave me a hard time for it, but like he seemed to love it and nothing happened to his skin. Like, he seemed fine. So I don't know. I wish that you could just get like, I wish that there was like a dog pool that like a dog deprivation day where like you could just rent it for an hour, and like you and your dog can get in and you can play with it and get out, and it's fine and it's not going to get hurt or like chlorinated. I don't know. He also has a short snoot, so you have to be careful with what he sniffs. Bucky won't go near water generally, even when it's mega, mega hot. Cooling him down is difficult. Yeah, Hugin, like in the summer when it gets super hot, like he just likes to chill indoors, and we'll just pop out for our walks. And if he gets too hot, I always keep a water bottle in a collapsible bowl, and we'll just park over on the side of the sidewalk. He'll have his water, and then he'll keep going. His favorite treat, I don't know if I've told you guys this, his favorite snack on earth is ice cubes. Like, if I hold out any doggy treat, one time I held out bacon in an ice cube and he took the ice cube. It was nuts. He wants the whole cube. And he likes to lick it and hold it like between his paws and just lick it and then chew on it and then lick it and spit it back out. He never like hurts his teeth on it. Yeah, he's just super into ice. And like if it's ice cream, like dog ice cream or like a popsicle, fuck no, he's not into it. He hates it. His other favorite treats, he fucking loves watermelon, dude. He loves watermelon. If I give him a watermelon or a piece of a strawberry, he loves it. He hates blueberries. He fucking loves oranges. Like, we have to be careful. We can only give him a little, because if you give him an orange piece, he's going to be like, get me some fucking oranges. Like, he loves oranges and mandarins. And yeah, those are his favorites. But I think the citric acid, you got to be careful with how much you give him. I don't know. He only gets like one piece of orange or two maybe. But yeah, watermelon's his favorite. Like, he's obsessed. I did try to freeze a cube of watermelon once, and he was super pissed. Like, he was like, what the fuck is this? And I was like, I combined your two favorites. And he just went, and then just like showed me his butt and walked away. Your dogs love carrots? K-dubs. I wish he loved carrots. I really do. We put it in his food when we make homemade food sometimes, but he's like, man, he hates peas. You can put like 100 peas in something and he will pick them out and they'll be in a pile. And it's amazing because it's like he'll just spit them out one at a time. I'm like, how do you do that? He hates apples. He's very suspicious of them. We've tried to give him multiple times apples, and he makes his eyes get big and he does the sideways eyes and just slowly backs away. Like, he fucking is like, nah, I don't trust it. And I'm like, bitch, what are you, Adam? What is this, the Garden of Eden? Just eat the fucking apple. He's like, nah, bitch, you're a liar. He'll look at me and he'll be like, you're fucking snake. And he'll just walk away. He's not into apples. My friend's Whippets would steal her pony carrots. What's a whippet? Oh, the dog Whippet. Oh, those look cool. They look like long-haired Italian greyhounds. Your dogs love veggies. Oh, it's so good. It's so good when they love veggies and stuff like that. Yeah, peas are pure evil. I hate them too, so I'm like, fuck that pea. Although one time he had edamame and he was really into it, and then he's like chewing it, and then it fell down, and then he did this thing where he goes, like he was gonna fight it because I think he realized it was a pea and he got tricked. Fresh green beans, if they're chopped up and boiled, he will do them. But if they're like even slightly raw, if he sees the bean part in them, he gets fucking pissed. He's like, get this shit away from me. Hugin's so picky, it's crazy. And he has no room to be because he's fucking allergic to everything. Okay, so this is something I saw. I'm gonna make it big so you guys can read it. And Angela, can you let me know if this, oh shit, if this is legit? Like, you said you saw this, right? It says this girl, Holly, said she told Kohberger that she was part of a hiking group and that the two exchanged phone numbers. The next day, she received what she described as a kind of peculiar text from him. The text sent July 10th, 2022 at 1:19 p.m. read, hey, I'm pretty sure we spoke about hiking trips yesterday. I really enjoy that activity. So please let me know. Thanks. Holly was struck by the wording in the message. It was almost overly formal, she told Morrison. I really enjoy the activity. So, can you follow up with me about that? So I saw this and I thought, this is interesting. Where are they going with this? Because one of the things I noticed is in the interviews with him or with attorneys and stuff, when they were talking about the autism spectrum disorder and how that should preclude him from the death penalty, they brought up his characteristics and how, he's awkward. And they even brought up in court 2 days ago, whenever the last court hearing was. I was watching it the other day and yesterday, and I was like, this is kind of weird. His attorneys kept bringing up that because the prosecution wants to get a doctor to evaluate him now, and they're arguing about HIPAA. You saw that? So when they were arguing about HIPAA, here's what they were saying. She was saying that, basically, his behaviors, like standing in the door blocking people, or the way he behaves towards females, and you could see where she was going with it. She was going with like, you're about to hear some weird fucking stories about his weird fucking behavior, and she straight up said, we want to be able to use autism spectrum disorder as a reason for him exhibiting those behaviors, because without a doubt, if they bring up anything in court about past behavior or stories from people, like we need to be able to have an explanation for that. And if they do that in any way, it's opening the door. And they even said, like, if they bring in anything, like the prosecution, if they bring in anything that shows a prior history of any weird behavior, that all of a sudden is opening the door. So the judge was like, nah, fuck you, that's stupid. And it was just interesting because you can tell that, like, at first I was like, why are they wanting to bar words like psychopath and things like that and sociopath? Like, why would they want to ban those words? That's one of the motions that the defense brought. And as I was looking at, I didn't even watch the whole episode. As I was looking at snippets and seeing stuff like this, I'm like, oh, I see. So it's interesting to me. And I don't think Keith Morrison did this on purpose because he is Bay, but it is interesting to me. And he does bring this up that, like, all these behaviors, right? And these stories that are coming out now from students of the past who had bad experience with him, like, they all seem to be potentially weird. And one of them is this one. The way he says, I really enjoy that activity. And they talk about how he hikes. And apparently they talked about how he spends a lot of time out at night, alone. He likes to be up all night. And it seems to me like, is Dateline trying to build a helpful case for the defense? Because this feels very biased. It's literally a lot of people confirming some of the things that the defense has been trying to put across. But of course, like, I have to kind of try to not be biased, even though I do think he did it. It's like, okay, well, is that bad if it's true? You know, if it's true and we've got these people saying it, but then you consider that the defense just said on the stand in court that all these people's opinions shouldn't fucking matter. So it's like, and they even said, they go, it's crazy because all these people were interviewed, or they didn't say it's crazy. I thought it was crazy, but they were like, all these people were interviewed after his name came out as the guy who did it. All these people who knew him came out of the woodwork, is what she said. Exactly. She said they came out of the woodwork with stories of how spooky and terrifying he was and how there were all these weird encounters. And she's like, of course they're gonna say that, you know, he is a suspect. And I'm sitting there going, okay, well, what about now that they're saying things that actually back up the defense side? Now all of a sudden, are we going to see a switch in court behavior or from the defense? Or all of a sudden is the defense going to be like, you know what, nah, never mind, just let them all come in? Because they're backing up what? That he likes to be alone at night, that he's fucking weird, that he makes people uncomfortable because he talks like a fucking robot. It kind of backs up what they consider in some areas like social inability to see social cues. So that's going to look really good for the defense. But they've already said that all these people, we shouldn't trust them because they came out after they knew that Brian was the one who is now a suspect. And so we shouldn't trust them because they're all going to have these spooky dooky stories. And I'm wondering, well, now we've seen these spooky dooky stories on Dateline and in interviews. So they seem to back up a lot of what the defense wants to get across to the jury eventually. I'm very interested to see if they change their tune the next time we see them in court. If they do, then as far as I'm concerned, that solidifies it even more for me, because that is literally just, they are throwing things at the wall. They're like, whatever sticks. And I did think that it seemed like they'll go this direction, and then the second something looks bad for them, they'll go, no, it's bullshit. And then when there's evidence to back them up, they'll go, never mind. But if it is confirmed for them and their benefit, they're like, yes. So it's like they're literally just trying anything. And yeah, the phrases that he searched, college psychopaths, these are all things that are important. So maybe that's why they want the word banned, because then they can't bring up his searches. Angela, you're a genius. If they because they had a whole motion to ban the words psychopath and sociopath, which I was like, okay, so someone's going to call him that, right? Well, now we know that was one of his fucking searches. Oh, great. Well, that makes sense. Can I use the I'm an asshole defense? Dude, always. And that's another thing. It's like, you can have autism. In fact, most people with autism are not fucking assholes. If anything, they're just being honest. But this guy is just being an asshole. You can't use that as an excuse to be an asshole. And you're also putting a stigma on autistic people. So fuck you for that. That seems wild. The defense is doing a Hank Brennan. That is exactly what they're doing. Also, where's Darlene? I saw her. Hello, good morning, Darlene. How are you doing? How are you feeling, honey? I just assumed they had testimony from people who called him that or nicknamed him that. Yeah, no. Apparently he searched for it. That's fucking nuts, dude. Okay. Here's another thing. So this is what makes me a little sus about the Dateline. On top of all that, it's like, are they trying to go somewhere with this? Because this feels weird. I heard Howard Blum is in it. Is he? Can someone confirm? If Howard Blum is in it, I don't know if I can sit through it because that guy's a fucking wicked idiot. Okay. Howard Blum is the guy who wrote the book, which I listened to on Audible multiple times because I was like, am I hearing this shit right? He wrote the book it's called When the Night Comes Falling, which, by the way, do you guys find it harder to memorize book titles? I mean, I can always remember who the author is, but do you find it harder to memorize book titles when you're listening to it, like through an audiobook? Like, I remember when I listened to Melania and Me by Winston Walkoff, I was like, Marley and Me or like, even though I knew who it was about, I would always fuck it up because I'm listening to it. I think there's something to holding a physical book in your hands and owning it that makes you remember more about it. I don't know. I was just wondering. Okay. So Howard Blum, he's the guy who wrote When the Night Comes Falling. This was the book I told you about where I listened to it on Audible and I had to hear it again and again. And it pissed me off because it's kind of like a fantasy. It's like written from the perspective on some parts of like omniscient third person, and then other parts is written from the perspective of Michael Kohberger, Brian's dad, who didn't say these things. Like, this is the author pretending he's Michael's dad, or he's Michael, Brian's dad, and speaking almost on his behalf, like as a surrogate. And it's mostly fluff. Like, it's terrible fluff. I'm just going to be honest. It's really bad. And I don't want to be rude to him, but it's fucking bad. Like, it's like as I stepped out of the airplane into the crisp fall air, my nose was trickled with snow, and the speckling of stars above me. It was just all filler bullshit. And I'm like, can you just give me a fact or anything? And it's just like, the scent was a scent where you would never know that your son was about to murder someone. It's like, what the fuck, dude? The whole thing was just really annoying. Anyway, he comes out with this theory. He's an author. He used to work for it. Let me give you his credits, because of course I look him up. I do a whole butthole background check on this guy. He wrote for the Village Voice. He's written for the New York Times, and he writes a lot for Vanity Fair. So of course I'm sitting there going, oh great. Now this is why we've got an over descriptive queen on our hands. You know what I mean? Homie gets off on like Star. Do you remember Star? It was like Us Weekly, but in the newspaper, like that type of shit. Like, it's not Weekly World News, but it's like he's almost like the Harvey Levin of crime, and it's annoying. It's like over dramatic. Everything is over described. A lot of things are presumptions and almost conspiratorial. You know what I'm talking about, K-Dubs? And this guy, like, so he puts out a theory on the motive, okay? So for those of you who don't know, with Brian Kohberger, his motive was he was out stargazing. He drove to a completely different state, and we're talking Washington, Idaho. He drives to a completely different state, and he's cruising around on airplane mode, stargazing, even though he also says he has visual snow. And even though he had class in the morning, he had to work, and he canceled it and said he didn't feel good. So he's stargazing at 3 a.m. by himself on airplane mode. That was basically it. Like, that was his defense, his motive. So now it's time to come up with a motive for why he did do it, if he did. Now, here's the thing. They don't even necessarily have to prove motive, because some people just do things because they're evil, or because they're shitheads, or because they're fucking stupid. it is good to have. They say, oh, you have to prove it. I mean, if you're a psychopath who just wants to kill, then that's just it. Like, again, we can't always get into the head of these people, because when you're crazy, it's hard to empathize with crazy or sympathize with crazy if you don't know what it's like to be crazy or to have that predilection. Some people cut faces off and fuck mouths of dead people, and it's like, what? You can say they were beaten when they were 4, but that doesn't. So are a lot of people who don't do that. You know what I mean? So it's a very confusing spectrum of different possibilities and potentials for a motive. So Howard Bloom, his bitch ass, decides, I'm going to put out my idea of a motive. This is what I think did it, and it is why he did it. And he doesn't just say, like, I think this is why he did it. He says, this is why he did it. He's like, I have fucking the inside scoop. Okay, I've been told information. Like, he makes it sound official, and he reports it. And he is a journalist. Like, he's not over here being like, he's not someone speculating. He's not like, he's not even doing it for entertainment purposes. Like, this guy put out 2 news sources the following. He said that the essentially Howard Bloom's latest reporting and claim about Brian Kohberger's case is fascinating. This is something that somebody put on Twitter. This guy, Tony Bruschi, who has a huge following. He runs this podcast called Hidden Killers. A lot of people fucking listen to it. He says the murders weren't about rage or revenge, but they were about trying to impress his old professor, Dr. Catherine Ramsland. Catherine Ramsland, pretty much a genius, very great professor. She has contributed to countless peer-reviewed articles on sociopathy, serial killers. She's worked alongside, John Douglas, that nincompoop Mercado that I got mad at being at the stupid John Ray press conference. She's worked with, Ann Burgess. She's worked with Kessler, like all these people. She's Wrestler. She's worked with all these people that are pretty distinguished. Dorothy, homegirl with the Insane Not Crazy documentary. Like, she's very well known, and she's a very extremely well known criminologist. She's written countless books. She's also a professor at DeSales University, and Brian used to go there, but he went there many, many years ago. Okay, she stayed in touch with him, but like literally, he would call her and bother her, and she'd give him an answer and then have to go. And it was for a few weeks after he left. And then she didn't hear from him for a long time, except like once. And it was brief, and that was it. So that's pretty much it. To say that, he studied under Professor Kathleen Ramsland, that alone, the media has been putting that out since this shit happened, is absurd. He took one fucking class with her, and she thought he was a really good student. She recommended him for some shit. A bunch of professors do that every year. That was it. A class. It wasn't that deep, homie. So everybody made a big deal out of this because she's well known. She's well known in the crime world, right? So Howard Bloom, this author who wrote a book that was already getting very critical reviews, especially from me. But who gives a fuck about me? Like, a lot of people were like, this is kind of fucking a lot of assumptions, dude. Like, this is all in your head, kind of. He puts out this news that Professor Ramsland is the reason he did this, because Brian wanted to impress her. And it was absurd, and it came from nowhere. And she responded, and she was pissed off. And she was like, first of all, go fuck yourself. She didn't say those exact words. She was very eloquent about it, but she's like, that's absurd. Here is all I know about Brian. Keep my fucking name out of your mouth, bitch. And that was pretty much it. So he goes on Twitter, and he won't let it go. Like, he cannot handle, like, he can't handle being wrong. There's nothing to back this up whatsoever. This is literally a thing he made up. And he goes on Twitter and he issues this statement, and I wanted to show it to you. So I saw that he was likely in the Dateline, supposedly. And if he is, I'm turning it the fuck off. But let's go ahead and go through these. Okay. Catherine Ramsland has issued a statement about my recent piece. She confirms she reached out to BK's parents after arrest. She did, because people were putting her name next to his and talking shit and saying that he was trained under her and this was one of her students, and she likely wanted to check on them. She refutes that BK emailed her while at WSU. I apologize for that error. Yeah, he never emailed her. Continued. Okay. So far, 1 out of 2 is correct from his reporting, which is bad enough. He incorrectly reported some very serious shit that essentially blames her in a way for the murders of kids. I would be fucking pissed if I was her. I would sue him. I would sue the shit out of him. Catherine Ramsland states that she didn't demand that BK parents get her approval before meeting Pennsylvania lawyer. I never wrote that. Nevertheless, they did. He insinuated it, and it was reported, and he didn't deny it. That's enough. There's a chapter on her student, Brian Kohberger, in her forthcoming book. Can't wait to read. Sure, it will be perceptive. That's just a rude dig. And that was him essentially saying, like, well, you write about him too. And I found that very obnoxious and something that people do when they're caught. Now, he did another 4. So as you can see, this esteemed author who he must be trusted. He writes so many things. This is how he counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. So this is someone who clearly puts effort into his writing. So another number 4. She states that she never taught Kierkegaard in her class to Brian Kohberger. I never said she did. I think she missed the point in my reference. He literally brought up Kierkegaard in a Western philosopher who's very famous in regards to comparing her teachings with him and used it as if this was something that she talked about. So he's really he's just denying what he said at that point. And I think that that's not classy at all and fucked up. 5, I still stand by my hypothesis as just that, a theory. First of all, a hypothesis, okay, goes with a scientific method. It is a part of an equation, but it is not the result of the equation. Hypothesis is what would happen if XYZ, okay? Just because you have a theory doesn't mean you should report it as news, nor does it mean you should pose it publicly when you have the background Howard has. Nor should you ever consider putting it out there with such a sensitive case in the form of truth, which is what he did. And the fact that he stands by it and is now calling it a theory when before he called it new reporting makes me think this guy is way more full of shit than I thought in the beginning. So fuck him. He's full of shit. And if he's in the Dateline documentary and they are taking him seriously, I'm going to be upset. Now let's go look at the comments. While I play for you this is the interview that Keith Morrison gave to East Idaho News about the Dateline episode. And let's see. He is full of shit. I cannot stand him. I cannot believe that. It's so dangerous for Dr. Catherine Ramsland too. He could get her killed, by doing that. And I think that that's really shitty. And the way that TikTok, the teacher from Washington State got treated on TikTok was horrible enough. And now she's enraptured in this huge fucking lawsuit. And every time this guy does something like that, it puts a lot of people in danger, not just Catherine, but the family. And it fuels conspiracies, and it makes it almost okay by normalizing the press, especially an ex-journalist from the New York Times. That's insane to put that out when you have a background of a reporting platform, and to now say it's just a theory after putting out a book that you eventually would cop to as fiction about a very real crime where 4 kids lost their lives. You're a piece of shit. Fuck you, dude. I don't like Howard. Howard can suck my dick. And that's how I feel about that. Okay, so let's see. He does. And it's really shameful because even if he is on the right side, even if he is correct in whether or not he thinks Brian did it, his credibility's gone. And it's kind of like how they keep showing Wendy on or they were showing Wendy a lot on Vinnie Politan, that he's becoming Wendy and Grant. It's really it's a problem. So now let's peep this. This is the Keith Morrison revealing the new insights. And I think that this is better because we get to watch Keith and we don't have to sit through all the Hollywood fluff. Here we go. I'm going to read the comments while this plays.
Let's talk about the show tonight, Keith. What can we expect with Dateline?
Well, this is your friend Shane Bishop and I, but mostly Shane, has been working on this for a long time, since right back at the beginning, and has developed. Shane has a list of people who are on the inside and who are very good sources about what's happened here in Idaho. So we're familiar with a good deal of the evidence that the state will bring against Brian Kohberger. His attorney is not speaking yet, but we have, a lot of this material that the prosecution will rely on, I think, to try and. I don't know. We can't say that we have it all, but we have a lot of it, and we can almost have a timeline of his movements and the movements of the killer, whether it was him or not, in the days, hours, minutes leading up to the murder and afterwards.
You also have a couple of interviews from people that we haven't heard from before.
We have. I mean, we've heard from some of the people who met Brian Kohberger early on, as soon as he moved to Pullman, Washington. And he went to a pool party, for example, and there was an incident at the pool party which was just kind of strange and unsettling for the people who were there. He worried a couple of the women who were by the pool wearing bikinis, and he was just a little leering, I think. They tried to brush him off, and one of them tried to get her husband involved, but he just seemed not to be aware of social cues. So there was that. And then, one of the other people there then ran into him later on a hike and was puzzled by the fact that he was walking alone into the night when everybody else was getting out of this area that they were hiking in, because it was nighttime. And then we discover, of course, that he was somebody who loved the nighttime and was out at night all the time.
Interesting.
Walking around, looking around.
Right. Well, that was, I think, one of the points his defense attorneys made early on, that he was out driving, looking at the stars at night, the night of the murders.
Yes, and there, and that might be an answer that satisfies. I don't know, but you have to have some comeback to the fact that it's glaringly obvious that he spent a great deal of time alone in the dark during his time there.
Tell me about this video that of a car that may have been his, or a car that looked similar to his, that you all have obtained.
Well, it's a car that the authorities believe was his, the white Elantra that we've heard so much about. You see the video. It's really quite remarkable video. It shows the period leading up to the murders. Just before this car kind of approaches. And by the way, the camera is on a neighboring house. You can't quite see 1122 from this house, but you can see the movements of the car as it's heading down into this kind of controlled area where 1122 is. And it's going round and around. And every 3 minutes or so, the car will kind of come around and go away again, and then come back and then go away again, as if somebody is, casing the house or is trying to make up his mind about something. Certainly, the authorities believe it was the killer. They are accusing Brian Kohberger of being that person. But then what we see is the car pulls in to what would have to be 1122 King Road and disappears, like it's parked. 13 minutes later, it reappears, going hell-bent for leather, around the corner and out of sight, and it isn't seen again. So the authorities are pretty convinced that this is a video of the killer in his car, making up his mind. The 13 minutes where the car is not visible to the camera is when the murders are occurring, and then afterwards you see the car drive away again.
And we're going to see that tonight.
We will see it, yes.
Wow. What's been the biggest thing that stuck out to you, Keith, as you've been preparing this episode versus previous reporting, which we've heard, and And this story has been highly covered across the spectrum. But what's kind of been your biggest takeaway or insight?
Well, that video is pretty extraordinary, and it tells you a lot. It also weighs pretty heavily as a piece of evidence, I think. A good deal.
Sorry, guys. I wanted to pause it because I wanted to say I need to show Nate Eaton to my neighbor, Paula. They have the same face. Like, it's creepy. And she just recently found out she has a sister. And I'm like, dude, you and Nate Eaton could be boy-girl twins. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, Paula is adorable, but she has the exact same fucking face. Like, it's really crazy. I need to show her Nate Eaton and be like, are you related to this guy? Also, dude, don't think me think the think the earthquake that got Andrea. It manifested.
The evidence is circumstantial. There is the DNA on the knife sheath, but also a slight problem with that in that the FBI broke its own rules in order to be able to test that DNA with a familial DNA site that normally is not available to them. You have to sign a form saying you're okay with law enforcement looking into your DNA profile if you want to be on one of these sites. But the FBI
Every fucking time. StreamYard. I'm gonna fix that. I'm fixing it. So, yes, exactly. So, what I was saying is, I'm pausing Keith right here to give a disclaimer. Okay, a little disclaimer. I am muted. Thank you for telling me. Oh, why? Why does that always happen? Here's the disclaimer. I don't know if Keith, maybe he didn't understand it. It was a very complex motion. The complexities were insane, and the way that it all went down, the face down between the police on the prosecution side that were working with, I shouldn't say police, the FBI agents that are working alongside Latah County, Moscow, Idaho, and the prosecution. In the case against Brian, the FBI had a lot of free range, especially considering, they're a federal agency and they were working across the country, because once you add in another state, there are different rules depending on the states on what is allowed and what isn't allowed and how certain procedures need to be carried out. Like, for example, in Texas, if you were to want to run a DNA profile against anything that is from the internet, as far as DNA databases go, it's kind of a big deal. And before, I want to say 2021, it was a no-no. And if the police or the FBI did that, even though the FBI might have permission to do that as part of their policies and procedures, Texas won't, or at the time wouldn't allow it in court. And then the families of some victims here, the yogurt shop murders, went through and said, hey, we're going to lobby to get the laws changed so that you guys can go into archived databases of DNA and run them against this new stuff like 23andMe, GEDmatch, all the others. So they got the law changed and they got it to where they could now run that as part of a, depending on the district attorney, is part of this one specific loophole in this legislation that they passed. But then it turned out the database hit that they got on this public database, the public database that they got was actually through a university, University of Florida. And in that university, they had a public database program where they had an archive basically of public databases and private mixed in with them that had different DNA profiles, and they were all basically put together for this program that I had actually tried really hard when I was in school to get accepted into, to add to the database and to help them organize it, but they didn't need it by then, and I was pissed off they had it done. And the problem with that is, even though it is a public archive, it's public for educational purposes only, and you still, like, it's technically public, like it's not just law enforcement, but all of the people in it are private, and you don't actually know their names. So while you can find out the blood matches a person in this database, right, you don't know the person's name or any of their private information. And the reason for this specific one in the yogurt shop murders had to do with, it was an FBI database pool. So it was essentially the person had been put in there by the FBI, and it might have even been a person who works for the FBI. Like, it was like a thing where a bunch of people put their DNA in, and it was part of this test thing. And this person isn't who did it, but the match was someone who could have been related to who did it. And when they put it in there, it was all totally anonymous. So even though they got the law passed and they were able to see that there was a hit, it was completely anonymous. There's no information to be turned over because they actually didn't have it. They didn't know whose blood that was, and there was no way to find out. And the FBI rejected any possibility of going back and trying to find that. So that's an example of that. If this same thing were to happen in Texas, it would probably get struck down by a judge. Had it been before 2022, I think. In in Idaho, and in Pennsylvania, there's conflicting laws with that, but those laws actually don't apply for the FBI because they can run it against any public database if they want, but their policy is to avoid it unless it's one that works with law enforcement. However, they didn't break a law necessarily, nor did they really. He makes it sound like they broke a policy or their own rules, but they didn't. It was actually the database's policy that they broke. So it's incumbent upon the people who run this specific blood database to enact policies that they can have control over. So if they want to cancel an account, they can do that. If they want to take away your account or your privileges, or ban you from using it, or take your DNA out of their system, they can do that. They can blackball you or your IP address. They could do that. They could even technically sue you if they wanted to. But as a private company who makes it public and has a policy that's like, hey, this is specifically for you to find your relatives and should be used for this purpose and this purpose only, the only punishment if you break that is that you just don't get to have an account there. Like, so you're not really breaking a law by doing that. So that's why the FBI is like, so fucking we broke their policy? Like, who cares? We don't work there. Who cares? Who gives a fuck? So the judge agreed. The judge agreed. And yeah, it's a guideline, not a law. So with that said, Keith Morrison, I think, describes it a little weird in this, and I don't really agree with him, but I think he's just maybe, I don't know. I think maybe he just explains it bad. I don't know. I think he maybe has the wrong understanding of what went on there. But again, I'm like, Dateline, what are you doing? Calm down here. You're kind of adding to the defense's case of this obtuse and really kind of dumb, frankly. Don't call me frankly. Really kind of dumb motive argument, or I wouldn't even say motive argument, but evidence stack up argument. Like the whole not being able to be given the death penalty because of the autism spectrum and all of his behaviors that are considered like offensive against social norms or societal norms, like being a part of the autism. And then in addition to that, saying like anytime he creeped a girl out, broke into her house, did this, did that, threatened people, collected violent pornography, like that's just part of his autism. Like it's silly. It's really silly. But for them to kind of give a backup to that in some of their reporting, and then to find out that Blum is one of the people that they're interviewing. I don't know. It's just not a good look. But again, I really like Keith, and I do think that he's pretty spot on and everything else. But this next part, I don't know. I just think that he's maybe miswording it or not explaining it the right way. I don't know. Tell me what you think here.
I went to a site where people do not sign that waiver, and it's a bigger site. They have, that gives them the opportunity to whittle down who the person would be that they're looking for, and it succeeded. But they're supposedly prevented by their own regulations from entering that website. Nevertheless, they did. So
yeah,
we'll be able to use that too. But,
right. The defense has made some filings about that and whether they legally got it or obtained it. Another thing the defense has said recently is talking about Brian Kohberger's autism diagnosis and his mental capabilities as far as one reason why they wanted to strike the death penalty off the table. Do you get much into his mental state of mind or potential,
really not, yeah, not much more than, I think you would be hard pressed to find a psychiatrist who's prepared to examine Kohberger over a television set or just from the limited amount we know. The defense says he has autism, and perhaps that's so. I don't know. The suggestion was that he is OCD also, and that may have explained some of his behaviors. The judge has already ruled that this doesn't really, it's not going to impact any possibility of a death penalty.
Yeah, it will be such a fascinating trial to watch here in just a couple of months. I know that all eyes are going to be on Boise as this goes. It could probably the longest trial in Idaho history, they're saying.
Could be. I mean, there are lots of issues that will have to be gone into in depth. Yeah.
Right. All right, Keith, tonight, Dateline, you can watch it. It starts at 9 o'clock Eastern and Pacific time. And for those of us in the middle of the country, it starts at 8 o'clock, 2 hours, all new Dateline with Keith. And then you can find it on Peacock starting Saturday. And then it comes out on the podcast next week.
You're streaming to say those things. Thank you, Nate.
Yes. Anything you want to add?
No, I just, there's some extraordinary reporting, and I do not take credit for it in this report, and it certainly is worth watching.
Well, once again, I'm joined by Steve Gonzalez, father of.
Also, I was going to type this, but I'll just pop in and ask it because you raise a good point. Don't be suspicious. When you say evil autism, I understand autism is a spectrum, and like, thanks for reminding me. The other day I was bringing this up about Tanner from Love on the Spectrum, and like that, my example was, could you imagine him planning a murder? You know what I mean? But also I realize not everyone who has, again, it's a spectrum. So there's different kinds of people with it, and they experience or exhibit different behaviors and characteristics and traits. And as well as, I guess, symptomology is what you would call it, like the way that they exhibit. Some are nonverbal, some are verbal. Some of them do have OCD and some don't. It's not like all of them do, and it doesn't even necessarily have to go hand in hand with that. I used to have things that people considered OCD, like clicking on and off lights and just certain things that I would have to do before bed, like routines almost. But I think like a highly routine based lifestyle is what a lot of people picture with OCD, and I think that sometimes that can bleed over to autism in some people's brains. But I think it's the whole thing about autism that I find consistent no matter what part of the spectrum you are. And again, I'm not a doctor, but I do know quite a few autistic people and have some in my family, and I'm telling you, like, the one consistency that I notice, and I hope I don't get hosed for saying this, but like they have a hard time lying. Like that's almost like the counter or the basis or the foundation in a way for verbal people with autism is almost like an inability to lie. And I'm not saying that they all strictly have that and they never tell a lie, but it's like, I mean, come on. How many times have you seen an autistic person who's, really good at lying and hiding the truth, and they're nefarious, and they, they can all of a sudden go with the flow and just make up something at the last minute to cover their tracks. Like, it just seems very much against the whole foundation of a lot of people who have this disorder. Or I don't, would you call it a disorder or disability? I have a hard time calling it both, because a lot of the autistic people I know are extremely smart and and I know that disability has nothing to necessarily do with your smart, I guess, because they were saying that it's an intellectual disability, and the way they were describing it, and they were comparing it to mental retardation, and that's one of the literal words that is written into law for death penalty cases in both Idaho, Texas, New Mexico, or at least it was in New Mexico. I don't know if it still is anymore. And yeah, some people say the touch of the autism, some people say disorder, like spectrum disorder. Some people say disability. Yeah, it just makes life work a little differently. Like, and, I used to tell, me and my little brother used to talk about like the mental health in our family. I remember one time we had this talk and we were talking about diabetes, and how, if you had cancer or diabetes, you treat it, right? So if you're having a mental health crisis, like, treat it. It's you treat the symptom, and I just have a hard time believing that somebody with the type of autism that they try to explain that Brian has, supposedly, or diagnosed by by the doctor that the defense suddenly provided, it's just it conflates it as he's like this full-blown, like, the most autistic fellow on earth, and he couldn't help but exhibit certain behaviors. And it's like, a lot of the shit that we've seen of him, he just seems fucking weird. Like, he doesn't seem at all that autistic, or autistic at all, really, in my opinion. I mean, people can hate me for saying that, but I just don't. I mean, maybe he has some OCD. That's actually very common among serial killers. But also, like, there's other serial killers who seemingly might have had it. But it was kind of before that was a thing that was really taken seriously, let alone named. So it's just very interesting to me that this is the angle they're going with. Like a inability to be socially aware in social situations. He couldn't connect with anybody. His demeanor made women awkward, but he had relationships. He had girlfriends. He was a full-blown heroin junkie for a while. He drove around, went to restaurants, went shopping. Like, when he went to go shop all around Moscow, Idaho before that, I think he went to, was it an Albertsons or some shit like that? He didn't have gloves on, but they're talking about how, him bagging the trash with gloves is a big deal. But like, when he's in the car with his dad driving around and handing that's the thing that also bothers me, is like, if you're going to have a disorder where, like, you're terrified of germs, like Howie Mandel, if you ever watch his podcast, he fucking hates germs. He's a comic. He fucking hates germs. He doesn't like hugging people. He doesn't like touching people. Like, it's a real struggle for him. He has very, very real OCD. So to see this guy use OCD and having to wear gloves because it's so bad, it like haunts him and he has to pick apart the trash with gloves. He has to do all these things. But then you see him in the car with his dad, and he's driving barehanded, and he hands the officer his ID, and then he takes it back from her without even flinching, or without, like, you would think he'd be like, boop, and then he'd try to get it with, like, no, nothing. So, like, there's little behavioral things that are totally different than the way they portray him in court that makes me go, I don't know, sounds kind of fucky to me. I don't know. I think that it's all bullshit, and that they're just trying their best to keep him off of death row, and also going straight for the, hey, by the way, take the death penalty off the table, makes me also think they definitely think he's going to get found guilty. And with the amount of shit coming out, especially what we're about to see, doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me at all. Anyway, let's watch this. Tell me your opinions in the chat. Do you have autism? Do you know someone who has it? Do you have OCD? Do you know someone who has it? What do you think of the behavior? What do you know about it? Are you a fucking psychiatrist? a psychologist, mental health therapist, a doctor? What are you? Do you know any of these? Does any of this fucking ring a bell? Do you have any thoughts? Are you concerned? Are you not concerned? Does it sound like bullshit? Tell me all of your thoughts. Tell me all your hopes, your dreams, and what you want for Christmas in the chat. And here we go.
Kaylee Gonzalez, who was one of the 4 kids murdered inside 1122 King Road. Steve, there's a lot of blockbuster revelations by NBC. One of the ones I found so upsetting was the allegation that these are pictures of University of Idaho girls on Brian Kohberger's phone. Do you have any idea if Kaylee was among them?
I don't know, but I find it very telling that there was other students that are supposed to be in their friend circles that are on that phone for sure.
And do you know anything more about what that mother, Angela Navejas, with the daughter Ashlyn, who was best friends with Maddie? Do you know anything more about that child's story? I mean, that girl's story. You know, Ashlyn was supposed to spend the night there. It's just so upsetting to think what happened. Why didn't she?
I don't know the details on Ashlyn. I definitely know Ashlyn. I've met and hung out with her. We've done fundraisers together, and her mother. So, yeah, I know that she spent. You know, she used to be a roommate there. So, I'm a little surprised at how that night, but I'm not surprised that she would be over there and hanging out with the girls at all.
Boy, have you had a chance to talk with her since the revelation that she was supposed to be there and wasn't and decided not to be?
No, and I just heard that she doesn't want to come back to Idaho, and now I've got a daughter who's going to Texas for college now, so I kind of understand how it feels for some of these side victims, that how they feel like they just don't feel safe and they want to just run, you know, get out of the area. So her saying that is kind of rang true with our daughter.
The internet search is alleged to be, you know, Ted Bundy and then non-consensual violent sex. You've said that this stands out because of reports before from the Reddit survey that Brian Kohberger sent out, you know, as a criminology student, asking other criminals about their methods. Talk to me more about that.
Yeah, we got a letter and it had a phone number in there, and we called this individual, and he said he had been interviewed by Brian, and he got the sense that Brian was getting off on his story, and his story was basically he'd listen to a police scanner, wait for somebody to call the police on a domestic violence type thing, and then the male would be arrested, and then he would go into those neighborhoods, and that would be the house that he would rob. So he said that Brian seemed to enjoy his story, and he said that he had he felt like he started enjoying certain aspects of his story, where he would talk about drunk females passed out, and he basically said, I could have done anything. I was just going for jewelry, going for money, going for whatever he was. But Brian would call him back repeatedly and want to know more details on that story.
It's all just so upsetting. And I know we're getting closer and closer to this trial where we will hear actual evidence as opposed to reports. Steve, thank you for that. I also want to let our audience, Steve, know that your family has to travel upwards of 8 hours to be at the trial of Brian Kohberger, and it's expected to last for months. So, folks, a friend of the Gonzalez family has set up a GoFundMe to help them make that repeated travel. It's called Help Kaylee Gonzalez's Family Attend Trial. If you want to go there, there's the address for you. The name of the GoFundMe account is right there.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah. Oh, this guy, Cuomo. Ooh. Honestly, him and his brother are kind of hot when they fight. Okay. See, that just doesn't sound like Spectrum stuff to me. I don't know. I'm not here to diagnose. I'm just here to say the evidence is quite damning. Right? And like, my worry, I guess, is the stigma it'll put on autism. But really, if you think about it, that's kind of the least of the worries in this case. And I feel really bad that the family has to travel that fucking far for court. And keep in mind, every time the defense makes a motion and anytime they have to go to court for that motion, the family, like, they made this commitment that someone from the family is going to be there for every single one to represent the girls and the boy, Ethan. And that's a huge, like, with the amount of motion, that's a lot. And Steve is burnt the fuck out. He made that very clear. He's like, I'm still going to be there, but like, we're going to try our best, you know, but I can't make them know all of them, but I'm going to try, or we're going to have someone there. And when you think about the toll that takes on someone, like, that turns people's hair gray. And the longer they draw this out, the more money the family has to invest in time and effort. And they have to constantly be reminded of this. And it's gotta be really fucking hard. But then I was like looking at like how far away he is from Idaho, and then I calculated the gap. Oh my God, this guy, I mean, if they kept up with every motions hearing right now, my calculations, I'm not the best at math, they would have been spending somewhere around $1,000 on gasoline every 2 weeks. If he were to make every single one. That's awful. But like, I mean, it's just awful. Like, that poor guy. And then you have to consider that, like, the victims' families don't get to like hire an attorney for that. Like, they have to rely on the prosecutors and the state being good at their jobs. So if I were in Massachusetts and this were my family, I would be terrified, you know? And it's just, it's a really sad and weird thought that, like, I don't know, if I were in his position, I would want to go every day. I would want to go to every single hearing, every single one. But it is absolutely not realistic to miss that much work. He's got other children. He's got a wife. He's got a family. And then to try to heal, but also worry constantly because of all the shit going on in the case. But then you have to take into account all the conspiracy theorist psychopaths who are like, Brian is fucking 100% innocent, and I'm going to taunt the family, and I'm going to fuck with people, and I'm going to make all these videos about how the family's full of shit. People really hate Steve. They really hate some of these family members, and they prank call them, and they fuck with them, and it's disgusting. It's one thing to think Brian's innocent. It's another to make it your life's mission to harass the victim's family because you think a guy's cute who murdered people, you sick bitches. With the comparison to Ted Bundy being more and more prevalent as time goes by in this, I'm very worried about these families, and I'm very worried about just women. We need to do better. Like, quit throwing your pussy at this loser. Like, what the fuck? Like, the amount of people who try to write to him in jail and brag about, it's like Wade Wilson. Like, what are you guys fucking crazy? There are crazy people out there who make that their thing. And this family has to see it and then get harassed and bothered by those people. I just feel fucking bad for them. It just sucks. I think you can be a person with autism that also kills or does not kill people, just like, exactly. That's true. Absolutely. Absolutely. I just think that with the way they described his in the court. We are going to go through a lot of this too. And they describe it in a way that he is on the spectrum, over the spectrum. He is the spectrum. He has every symptom. He has everything you can imagine that just cripples you. Like, that's what he has. He has crippling autism. And I just don't see it. Like, and it feels real shitty of him to, I don't know, use that if he doesn't have it. And also, how fucking convenient. It just blows my mind. Yeah, they're trying to make excuses for his weird, creepy past behavior. Okay. Oh, also, let me go down because I missed a bunch of shit. Thank you, Sassy, for gifting 5 Oblivious Benson memberships. Oh my God, you're amazing. I appreciate you. You're the best. Volcano Joe sent a $1.99 super sticker. Thank you, Volcano Joe. And you down with the OBB? Yeah, you know me, OBB. Which also, if you rearrange, spells Bob. And I used to go by Bob from the select board. Do you guys remember that era when I was Bob? Thank you, Sassy. Thank you. You're the best. This is really also Spooky Trash is back. Welcome, Spooky Trash. I'm an autistic. What prefers, dude? Pro wrestling and fishing over murdering and such. Dude, Gabagool, big pro wrestling fan. You have Brian Higgins as your profile picture, so don't tell me. Don't tell me that you don't prefer murder. I'm just kidding. But fishing? Were you here for fish crimes with Jay? Have you ever been hokey noodling? we're gonna need to talk because we do cover fish crimes on this channel. We might need you to call in and give us your expert opinion. Yeah, done, right? DNA on the knife sheath, done. Fucking good enough for me. They could have used his tism for good, but he chose murder. Yeah, if he does have it, fucking, he channeled it wrong, dude. He channeled it wrong. And again, like, in my head, I'm thinking of like, I know he's not, I don't know, it's a spectrum, but I don't know what the middle ground is. But I'm sitting here thinking of people like Tanner, Tank from Love on the Spectrum, where he's like, I had a balaclava, and then I went and I got a tea, and then I grabbed a knife, and then I went, and he's just like happy, and he's like, and I like giraffes, and it's like, whoa, dude, like I can't imagine someone doing that and talking about killing someone. But also this guy, like, maybe he didn't do that. Maybe like in his head, he's like, I'm just playing. Maybe he is OCD and maybe he is autistic, and maybe that helped him plan the murder because he could focus better. I don't know. I feel like an obsession typically comes because with obsessive compulsive disorder, and if this was that, it's not going to look good for the defense. They should be careful with how they use that card, in my opinion. Oh my God, I love you too. Dude, life is fucking weird. It's so nice to see you guys, though, when you've taken a break and come back, because I know that you're looking out for your mental health. Because I honestly feel like you guys, some of you are fucking crazy for watching me. Sorry. What the fuck? I'm like, okay. I guess I got a bunch of nutty besties. It's fine. I grew up an only child among mostly adults. I have poor social skills, and I'm not on the spectrum, dude. I grew up in the sticks, like around fucking rednecks, so I have poor social skills. So I feel that. I feel that completely. He seems very confident, creepy, but confident. Dude, right? He like poses like Randy Orton in some pictures, and I'm like, what are you fucking doing? I'm trying to pop in as much as I freaking can. I'm always, dude, love you to death, Spooky Trash. We're gonna do an autism. Oh my God, we're gonna do an OSINT episode soon. Because I want to talk to you guys about flight logs and history of flight. We're gonna get into some of the tools at your disposal. We talked about it a little bit the other day. I showed you 3 of them. I'm going to show you some more tools on tracking old flights and figuring out timelines. I want to do a whole timeline episode where we do a timeline of a timeline. Like, this is how you make a timeline, and here's the timeline, how much time you need to set aside to make a timeline, which sounds crazy and meta, but it's going to be fun. Frito Cuomo. I've never been diagnosed but suspect I'm at least ADHD. I mean, if I look at the symptoms for everything on WebMD, it says I'm like 6 things. So I'm like, whatever, I don't care. And I've had doctors try to diagnose me with all kinds of shit before, and I'm like, look, I'm just white trash fancy. That's my disorder. Which one is Frito? I mean, they had a whole thing about mom spaghetti that was a very Eminem argument one time, and it was very funny. Frito. Or is it Fredo? BK doesn't seem autistic to me. Yeah, what do you guys think? Terrible. Chris is Fredo. He said Fredo was like the N-word for Italians, and he threatened to throw someone down a flight of stairs. Oh, I figured they just called him that. Oh, is that like Alfredo? Well, what if your name is Albert Fredo? So you got to throw that guy down the stairs? One of you better change your screen name to Albert Fredo right now, just to piss off Chris Cuomo. Yeah, what about work? Where the fuck? Like, he didn't go to school or work. His work was his school. The next day, he was like the teacher's aide, right? I hate looking at him on TV. I could not be in the same room. Dude, I just want to like grab him by the hair and fucking put a knee in his face. I've been watching too much Aleister Black on wrestling. I keep thinking about how I want to fucking raise up like a demon god and choke that dude out. He fucking freaks me out. The autistic, psychopathic, and an incel and still not murder. Oh, shit, that's true, Gabagool. You can be a murderer and not murder. No, I'm just kidding. That hot Italian temper. You can be a Cuomo brother and not murder. I don't know if many of you guys know that, but it's possible. Thank you, Sassy. Sassy, you're wonderful. Hey, thank you, Sassy is the new thank you, Paul. Donnie, not Osmond. Gross. What's gross? Jesus fucking Christ. Talk about sociopathy. Oh, God, you suck bitches. What happened? You sick bitches. Can we talk about the Facebook posts on Reddit, posts that are highly suspicious? I don't know, but I have seen somebody connecting the dots at all. Send them to me. Let me look at them. Because I've seen some that are pretty fucking stupid and some that I'm like, yikes. It's a disturbing trend of people who see conspiracy everywhere to justify. Oh, you're talking about gross earlier because the dad, the way, oh, dude, like they did Kylie Rodney's family. Oh my fucking God. Oh my fucking God. He's gross. Yeah. Prosecution can refute that though, how capable he was in life. Yep, they can. No victim's family deserves harassment because the family, they don't. His family doesn't. And that's another thing. People are shitting on his sister because she was in a horror movie. Hey, fuck off, dude. She's a struggling actress. And another one was a teacher, right? And like a therapist. Like they have good jobs. They did good. They didn't fucking murder someone. Their creepy brother did. And one of the sisters alerted the dad supposedly and was like, something's up with Brian. Like she was very perceptive. And I think people need to kind of fuck off because they didn't cover for him at all. Their house got torn up and the dad even made sure to drive with him, which to me, I don't know, but I do think that Michael might have had a feeling something was going on. And it was more so like, I need to be with my son to have a car ride where we talk about some shit. And I do wonder if he grilled him a little. Maybe the dad was suspicious. I don't know. What did they know about his past behavior before the unalivings? Oh my God, so much. So there's a lot that's out there right now, but one of his old buddies at DeSalle's was one of the ones that I saw first. And it was a guy who's like, oh my God, I fucking knew this guy. And he went on TikTok and he's like, he was my homie. Like we used to hang out. Like, you know, he was in a class with me, or maybe I think he said that they hung out a little bit. But like this, I would not expect this, is what he said. He straight up was like, you know, now that I think about it, looking back, he was a little, what was the word? Almost like intense. But that he was a really good student and he was genuinely interested in criminology and he cared a lot. And he mainly talked about like their coursework and stuff, how he just didn't expect it. But then a girl came out and was like, I was his best friend. He came to my sister's wedding. Like a bunch of us hung out all the time. One night he tricked me into driving him around town to pick something up. It ended up being heroin and I was really pissed off. She talked about his behaviors and how he could be socially awkward, but a lot of it was mainly that he was a junkie and he took advantage of her. And that then one day he showed up and he was really thin and he was trying to get his life back together. And just the way she talked about him, it just sounded like the classic guy who's kind of, his shit was kind of falling apart. He was kind of losing it a little bit. Yeah, he didn't do any of that. He had, you know, he had gotten bullied and he was real fat. He lost a bunch of weight. He had an eating disorder, apparently. At least that's according to a couple of his old friends. And he got really aggressive and weird, and he kind of stopped hanging out with some of them and started getting laid a lot when he lost weight. I mean, it's just that. And he kept, you know, he kept having issues with drug use and heroin, and then he went full vegan and just had this like militaristic lifestyle change almost. Mike Reedy says autism, OCD, ADD, ADHD. What's the difference between if you have ADD if you have ADHD, isn't that, can't you just take the ADD out because it has both? Isn't ADD just a hyper version of ADD? So technically both are one? I don't know. Maybe I'm just confusing it. I actually you have been noodling? Oh, do you have pictures? Show me pictures. She's 8. Wow. What's the OCD present as, if you don't mind me asking? I have a nephew who likes to stack things, and he's just very, everything needs to be in perfect place. Like he'll adjust things. He'll close the cabinets, like fucking, don't you get anything on this over here? This is my kinetic sand. This is your kinetic sand. Don't fucking touch my kinetic sand, like that. And that's another thing is I'm like, dude, you have been here since July 23rd? Oh, 2023? Oh, don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Well, I'm not suspicious of you now. Yeah, I do wonder am I still Bob? I'm Bob 3-2. You're right. I'm dead Bob. Spectrum isn't linear either. It's like a color wheel. Different. Oh, fuck. Well, that's too many. That's a whole wheel? Can we cut it in half? Don't pick on my giraffes. It's my spirit animal. Who picked on giraffes? No one picked on giraffes. To me, I don't think it matters if he is or isn't, right? It's like, I don't give a fuck what you have. You don't get to murder 4 fucking college kids with a knife at night. Like, I don't give a fuck who you are or what you have. Like, don't do that. Knowing you make me feel great about life. Sometimes even when talking about murder. Well, good. I'm glad that I can do that. Actually, oh, thank you. Hate that, sometimes we have to talk about murder. I wish there were no murders, but here we are. Is it 2024? It doesn't seem right. No, it's 2025. Did I say 2024 about something? I'm dumb. We're the good kind of crazy. I'm not rich, but thank you so much. And you don't have to. If you're broke, don't fucking ever send me money. If you guys are broke, don't send me shit. I'll be okay. But I appreciate you when you do. That is very nice of you. I was fearful as a kid. I was gone for 3 days. No one looked for me. K-Dubs, what? Dude, I was going to do an afternoon episode later because I want to cut this one at 2 hours. We're going to have to plan something. If you want, I would love to hear about it. What did you do for 3 days? Or just tell us in the comments, what did you do for 3 days? Was it? How old were you? 3 fucking days? K-Dubs, grounded. What did you do? What does a kid do for 3 days on their own? I'm just the girl in the world. Reba's fancy already. White trash. Dude, where's my Reba tape? Where's my fucking Reba tape? Oh, it's Patty Loveless. I don't know where my Reba tape went. I have Reba, Shania, and Patty right there. But I don't know where Reba went. Fuck. She was so great on Young Sheldon. Oh my God. They warn you when you study DSM that you won't see yourself. Yeah, I know. It's just like if you've ever been on a plane and then you read you read some shit on your phone or something, and then by the time you get off the plane, you're like, oh, I have sprayeds. Like, I got it from the plane. Like, you just feel like you have everything. I asked my therapist if I was a sociopath. Me too. Dude, I actually used BetterHelp a while back because I was like, I'm going to fucking mentally snap because the Aussies were driving me nuts. And I was like, hey, am I a narcissistic sociopath? And she was like, fuck no. And I told her all about them. And she's like, you need to get away from those people. They are terrifying and they have personality disorders. And I was like, fuck yeah. Okay, thanks. But she said I'm fine. She said I'm not. She said that I'm flighty and that I should probably smoke less pot. And I was like, click, you're not mine anymore. But anyway, just kidding. Just a crazy bird lady, bit of a weirdo, nuts, but nor bat crap crazy. Dude, Erica, you seem totally reasonable to me. You're just a bird. You're just a big fucking bird. Maybe he's living in an alternate reality. He was obsessed with crime. Maybe he manifested all that shit into doing this. I don't know. But he seemed really like, I think once people are searching for violent porn and the type of shit that him and Rex were searching for and the type of shit that like Dahmer would seek out, the type of shit that like Ted Bundy, that's another thing. I hesitate to say this. This is not a theory. This is a question that I'm curious about. I have no reason to believe this, but for some reason in my head, I do wonder if he bit one of the girls. Because he does seem to obsess over Ted Bundy, which we'd actually heard that before. He looks like fucking Ted Bundy in my opinion, kind of, but like that has nothing to do with anything. Just like the way the crimes were done, the fact that the focus of the girls, the fact that he didn't have enough time, it seemed to do anything too invasive or like as far as like sexual assault or anything on them, but also just some of the small markings that we've heard. I wouldn't say signatures, but some of the elements of the crime scene that have been leaked. It seems very I don't know. I know patterns historically can repeat themselves, but this is a totally different person, but it seems very Chi Omega. It feels very and not just because it was a house full of sorority girls, but just the violence, the quickness, the planning, his personality. I do wonder if he bit someone. He seems like a sexual sadist, and if he did commit this crime, the bits that we do know about it, particularly when Gonsalves said that one of the girls was beaten about the face, in addition to the stabbing, the time, the potential of cleanup, the quickness, rapidity, all of it, it makes me wonder if he maybe did something like that. Like something kind of, I don't know though. I don't know why I think that, but I do wonder if he maybe like either bit them or took something from them that was maybe on their body, on their person. Like, did he take some hair? Did he take a fingernail or something? I don't know. I don't think he did, but I don't think because I feel like we would have seen something from the fingernail thing, maybe a tooth. I don't know. I know this sounds fucked up, but in a lot of the profiling, like crime scene profiling books, and the characteristics of serial killers that are very similar to the person who did this, whoever they are, he just has almost like I guess a lot of the ones from the past who are similar to him, and that is a vague statement, that is all-encompassing, bold statement of me to make, but it's true. They tend to have a proclivity to take something or leave something that is extremely personal with one victim, like either take something biological off of them, like hair, tooth, nail, not like clothing wise, but like a part of them, or to bite them. And they keep saying that there are things that are going to come out in trial that we haven't heard yet, and not only the killer would have known or would have been able to somebody who knew the crime scene would have had to know that. And I do wonder if it's something like that. I hope not, but fuck. Good morning, Donna Barkley. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Gage F entered court yesterday. Let's get to it. I'm gonna have to skip down. I missed a lot, but I'll go through these as we play Bookeekee. And that was a long ass Kohberger rant. I have a lot of thoughts on it. I'd like to actually pull some stuff. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. I think that there's something there, either DNA's marking wise or DNA or markings wise, or something there that we don't know that's going to be in the motions, but I'm still reading. I have like 28 pages yet before I'm caught up. Not motions, pages. So that's good. Before I'm fully caught up, and I've been taking notes along the way, and there are insinuations there's something there. But it's really hard to tell because they don't name it and they do redact some things. But I think that you can use context clues on a lot of these. They're being for being a sealed situation, they sure are unsealing a buckload, and lots of context clues can be drawn and seem to be playing out before our eyes as, yep, it's what you thought. If you read that, it is what you thought. Like, for example, the Amazon searches. The dad said, there's stuff in the filings that are about to come out that we've been prepped on, and some of his search history right before and right after the murders and the things on his phone are concerning. And I'm like, that is what the motions seem to indicate, if the word that's blacked out is the word we think it is, if that makes sense. Yeah, no, he had a major heroin addiction, but not at the time of the murder. It was a long time before. And then he got healthy and lost a bunch of weight, got his life back together, and then went to school. Or he went to school in Washington. So there's that. But yeah, he had a ton of issues. Okay, so let's go ahead and watch Yuriy Bookeekee, aka Bookeekee Bonquiqui. I'm calling him Bookeekee from now on. Have so many thoughts on this guy. We are not going to watch his entire testimony. I am going to start with the second half of it on the trial channel because it is fucking long and I do have to go eventually, but I am going to pick up a couple hours later today, probably around 2 or 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So probably like 4 or 5 hours. I have a lot of errands that I have to run. And I have to take Mookies to the pork. So we're going to do that, get some cleaning done. I'm going to come back, and then we're going to do another episode because I'm probably going to take tomorrow off to go do Mother's Day stuff with my mummy. All right. Also, real quick, before we play this, do you want, you know what? I'm going to read your minds. We're going to transition into Bookeekee. But we're going to watch Marcus and his visit to the CT scan that just came out from Rob Stricken Fury to Fluff Us and Buff Us. It is 7 minutes long, and then we will get into Yuriy. It was a hell. I watched almost all of it. I think I missed the last 2 hours, maybe 3. I got to the part where Beverly does this with her hands, and then they have a comedy moment and the whole courtroom laughs. And I found that refreshing. I was like, finally this bitch cracks a smile and everybody else does, and everyone's happy. For the first time, I didn't get to see the whole courtroom, but you heard everyone laugh. I wouldn't doubt it if even Peg laughed. I think everyone laughed, and it was a very funny moment. And it was all centered around, no, Yuriy, you don't have to read it all. You can't read no good. And it made me laugh very hard. So we're going to do a little buffer, and then we're going to go into Yuriy. The Ukrainian guy whose best friend is a pervert, who everybody's accusing him of stealing Valor now. He didn't steal Valor. He lived in Camp Pendleton for 5 years. He absolutely fought in the war. He was a Marine. I don't know if I give him a little more grace because his accent, yes, it's Massachusetts, but it's also my dad's. Like, he was the exact same way. The beginning, not like my dad has a very thick Polish accent, but the way he starts words, the way Yuriy does, his expressions and his hardened, like, just no fucking humor whatsoever, unless it's something really fucking weird, is very almost Polish. And then, oh, he's Ukrainian. Okay, this makes sense. But I do think that he was evasive and he's kind of a prick. So you add that on top, and it's even more aggressive than typical Eastern blockers. So wow, what a wild dude. I'm gonna be honest, out of all, I think this was crazier than Jen McCabe's testimony, and I think it was kind of more thrilling, and I think it was funnier than any of the others. Aside from Jessica's "May the 4th be with you" moment, Yuriy had some moments. He had some moments. Him having to read the text messages and everything leading up to it. That's when, actually, right at the end of him reading the text messages, I was like, my pussy has turned to dust. I need to leave. Like, I'm not watching this anymore. I even tweeted, I was like, I'm done. Like, I can't. This is hard to watch. He was struggling with some words, and I'm like, this guy wrote reports? Okay. He sounded like he was interpreting Charlie Streen book. Anyway, here we go. Let's watch a little Marcus, and then we'll get into Yuriy, because really no difference. I'm going to go through chat and read everything you guys have to say, and God bless. Enjoy.
Activating the machine. Oh, wow. Oh, my skin. Marcus up,
Whoa.
and away.
Marcus, you can't fly. What? Where's he going? Holy crap, that was sick. Dude. He's climbing that tree like it's nothing.
How does he do that?
Oh, that looked really painful. You are you good, Marcus? Are you good?
Robert.
Yeah.
It hurts.
I know. I'm sorry. Look, do you need me to call you an ambulance?
No.
Oh, what? Hello? Marcus? The hell is Marcus? Oh, guys, hold on. I'll be right back. Marcus, what the hell are you doing in the hospital? Okay. I'm coming. What's up, man? What are you doing in the hospital?
Big Badinky Bones shanked me in the leg at Panera Bread.
What? At Panera Bread? Big Badinky Bones did that? I thought you guys were friends.
Going to give me a CT scan, Robert.
Oh, okay.
See my insides. They might find the canned chicken noodle soup.
Like a whole can, or never mind. Okay, well, good luck with that, man. I don't think I'm supposed to be in here.
I can't let them find the canned chicken noodle soup.
Why not? Okay, Marcus, that's nice and all, but I don't think
my right leg is experiencing an incomprehensible amount of agony.
Yeah, you got shanked. That makes sense. I don't think I should be in here when you do this though, Marcus. There's like a big thing over here. All right, well, you enjoy that. I'll wait here behind the line.
Robert.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
Oh, okay. Do you need me to do something?
Can you come here?
Okay, just for a second though, okay? What are you afraid of? Oh my god. Are you good?
Robert, help.
You're just stuck on a table. Here, I'll try to free you. Hold on. Hello? I don't know. I'm trying to use my arms. Hold on. Here, grab.
They're activating the machine. Oh wow. Oh.
Okay, I don't think I'm supposed to be in here when this is happening. I don't think I'm supposed to be in here.
Oh, it's tickling me, Robert.
Okay.
Oh, Robert.
Just
come
hang in
here.
there.
Help.
Okay, Marcus, I'm here, man. Just hang in there, all right? You're all right. You feeling okay?
Oh, my skin. It's
Yes.
quite moisturized, you know.
Yeah. Why is it so moisturized?
I used a nice moisturizer. I got it online.
Okay. No, that's great.
It burns.
I'm sorry it burns. Shouldn't there be someone professional working on this? This doesn't seem like someone qualified to be. Do you have a manager?
Shut up, Robert Malecki.
Okay.
I trust Dr. Binkleton with my life.
That was Dr. Binkleton. Okay. Why did they become an alien? Is the scan complete?
Probably.
Isn't it like supposed to move or something? Did anything even happen? Oh, thanks, Marcus.
Not really.
Oh.
This was a productive doctor visit.
No, it was really good. I'm sorry about your leg. How's Jimbo James in
I'm
the game?
sorry, Robert. I gotta go cause a violent uprising at the nearest deep sea oil rig.
Deep sea oil rig? Okay, tell Jimbo and the gang I
See, that's the part of Marcus. Let me hop in here. I was trying to figure it out. I was like, what part of Marcus resonates with the collective? You know, I always thought it was the part where he says, I have a grenade. I was like, oh, that's my chat. That's 100% my babies, my little Muslim gay doggies. But then when he said causing a violent uprising at the oil rig, I went, no, this is it. That's the one. This is some shit you kids would do. I'm going back.
It was really good. I'm sorry about your leg. How's Jimbo James in the game?
I'm sorry, Robert. I gotta go cause a violent uprising at the nearest deep sea oil rig.
Deep sea oil rig? Okay, tell Jimbo and the gang I said hi.
It hurts.
Tell them I said hi, Marcus. You just closed the door the wrong way. No, just push the door, Marcus. Marcus, just
Robert,
push.
Help.
Okay. Here, I got you. Just hold on. You got to let go of it. You got to let go of it so I could do it. Okay. Here, Marcus. Is that enough space for you? No, Marcus, you're closing the door back up. Now you can't leave because you're going the. You have to. No, Marcus. Now you just leave. Why don't you just leave the door open and then I'll.
It's not working.
You know what, Marcus? Just walk through it and I'll take care of the rest. You're just playing with the doors, Marcus. How you made it this far in your life without knowing how doors work? Hold on, I got it. Marcus, I'll get it, Marcus. I'll get it. All right, here, watch. Now, you just walk through. Don't even hold the doorknob. Don't even hold it. It's right there. The exit's right there. You can just walk right through it. You have nothing to worry about. See that? You can just walk right through. Ow! Why did you deck me in the head? Yeah, now you know how the fucking door works. What the fuck, man? You know what? Oh, you're still there.
Holy shit, dude.
Ow, why did you punch me twice?
That's right. I got money.
All right.
I just got a house. I live right here.
And put on some clothes, all right? Marcus? What the hell are you doing here under this bridge hanging out with these homeless people?
Robert, I am blind.
You're blind? Maybe it's because it's dark outside?
There's been an incident.
Oh, okay.
Oh, ho, oh, baby, oh, no.
Oh, okay. What's up?
I legally can't go back to Michigan, Robert.
What the hell happened in Michigan? This guy's scared.
I don't think the IRS is very happy with me.
Oh, okay.
Me too, brother.
Yeah.
I'm no longer blind.
You can see again? Okay. Well, that's great. It's a miracle.
All right, now we're going to start Yuriy Bookeekee. Actually, what I'll do is to ease you in. How many of you guys put ones in the chat if you have not seen any of this yet? Because it really does escalate quite a bit. I am going to turn it up also. I want to tell Fuzzy Loot, that reminds me of the movie Amelie. I had something similar. I just, I would think that all the world's problems were caused by specific things that I did as a child. Like when I took toenail polish and I painted nails on the wall. And then a gang did a drive-by and shot up houses in our neighborhood, including mine. And I just thought, was that because I painted the walls with nail polish? And then when I got older, my mom said, no, the drive-by was like way before you did that. And I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense, because I also remember it as being like if I do this, this will ward off like dookie, 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 like saging, like almost like I'm going to protect this house so that doesn't happen again type of thing. But I don't know why in my head it must have happened at the same time. But she was like, no, it was later. So I think the memory of it, like the little bit of memory I had, because I was still really little. I was like 4 or 5, and I think that happened when I was like 2 or 3. But I remember like just feeling this anxiety, like if I don't do this, something bad's gonna happen. And eventually, like I had to stop because my grandma was gonna beat my ass if I kept putting nail polish on the walls. But I would do stuff like that all the time. Like I had to have everything in a certain position. I had to say goodnight to a heart-shaped pillow, which was, I guess it's pretty weird. I don't know. I thought it was pretty fucking cool. But I was like, if I don't, I'll die and everyone around me will die. And I thought that was totally reasonable. But I was a weird kid. I like to take shits in the yard. I'd get my ass beat for it by my grandma. She'd be like, what are you doing? Stop doing that. I'd break out of the house to go take a dump in the yard or to pee. I wanted a outside, what do you call it? An outhouse. I was reading about outhouses. I was really little. I was like maybe 8 to 10, and I was starting to get into like, what was it? It wasn't Fear Street at that age. I want to say it was like maybe something else like Goosebumps or Babysitter's Club, but I don't know. I remember reading like some Western book, and it was like I could barely understand it, but I remember the outhouse picture and thinking, I want an outdoor toilet. So I would just sneak out to the front yard and like be like, well, I'm gonna take a dump in the roses and get in trouble. My grandma would be so fucking pissed. Oh my god. Anyways, I'm going to edit that out. Here we go.
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Sergeant Dupnick.
Good afternoon, sir.
I want to talk to you for a second about roles in this case, in this investigation. Would you agree with me that Michael Proctor was the lead investigator as well as the case agent in charge of this case?
He was assigned as the case officer for the case.
In that position, given the fact that it was his assignment, would you agree with me that he had a leadership role insofar as the investigation of the case is concerned?
I wouldn't call it a leadership role. It's more of a facilitator, liaison between the DA's personnel within the office and the state police. He also helps facilitate any missions, outstanding tasks that need to be completed.
He obviously had a supervisor, correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
He obviously had a supervisor, correct?
He did, yes, that would be myself.
That would be you.
Yes.
Every case has some lead trooper in your unit, correct? Every case is assigned to someone to sort of be in charge and lead the charge of the investigation. Is that right?
Every case has a case officer that manages the investigation.
Right. And managing the investigation doesn't mean just, like typing up schedules. It means actually managing the investigation, like deciding what search warrants are going to be written in certain circumstances. That's one example, correct?
They're responsible for writing and authoring those search warrants. Sometimes the recommendation, suggestion, or leadership comes from the supervisors or the DA staff, where their experience might dictate otherwise.
And sometimes it comes from the lead case agent himself or herself, correct?
At times, yes.
Every team, even back when you were in the military, you were on many teams in the Marine Corps, correct?
I'm sorry, you were speaking facing away from me. I couldn't hear you.
Every team, including back in the time you were in the military, back in the time you were in the Marine Corps, every team has multiple individuals involved in that team, correct? That's the whole point of the team, multiple people, correct?
I would agree with you that a team consists of more than one person.
And there has to be some sort of echelon of leadership on that team, correct? Everybody's not just an equal, co-equal, correct?
We might have different duties, responsibilities, but some teams have equal rank. Yeah.
If there's going to be a team leader, right? That's a military phrase.
Gabagool, I want to tell you this much. I'm so sorry. We love you very much. I'm going to make you a promise. Even if I get home late tomorrow night, we're going to do a live. We're going to do a live for you and all the other kids who lost moms. And I'll show you nothing but funny stuff. Okay? We'll do something that'll be funny and uplifting. All right? And that really sucks. And I'm sorry, hun. I cannot imagine. Like, oh, I can't even think about it. But we love you. We're here for you. Dawn Marie. Also, Lemon Dawn is here. Lemon Dawn is here. So we'll play the Lemon video tomorrow for you, Gabagool, and for you, Dawn. And hello. Run your errands. What do you guys think of that? Should we do like an all funny episode tomorrow night for the No Moms Club? I have a mom, but I can be your temporary mom for tomorrow. An interim mom. Dad day off. I am now mom. Maybe. Should we have to do that? Maybe Darlene can be our temporary mom. Darlene, do you want to be temporary mom? Bookeekee? Bookeekee? Limon done. We'll do something funny tomorrow. I think that's a good idea. I think we'll make it a point every Father's and Mother's Day. As long as this channel exists, we'll do something funny for anybody who's sad. Because it is rough. I can't imagine that. But we love you, Gabagool. Look at Yuri's stupid face. Isn't it stupid looking? It's kind of funny. Look, it's all squished. He looks like a Roblox guy.
Team leader.
Yes, there is a team leader in the Marine Corps, in the rifle platoon, but not every team has a leader.
Did the team in this case, in this investigation, have a leader? Someone who was assigned as the lead case agent. Not just another officer, not just another detective, but the lead case agent.
The case officer for the investigation was Michael Proctor.
But you don't want to say lead case agent or case officer, correct?
I refer to that billet as case officer.
Your responsibility as the supervisor over this particular case officer is, or any other case officer that you might have, or any other trooper that you might have under your supervision. Your responsibility in no small part is to supervise the individuals under your command to ensure that the case is adequately investigated. It's properly investigated. That's part of your role as a supervisor, correct?
Is one of my many responsibilities, yes.
It's partly because you have more experience, I'm guessing, than the people under your charge. Is that right?
Certainly in my position, but there are many instances where a sergeant might have less experience than a well-seasoned trooper that's been in the office for 15 to 20 years. So
fair enough. Fair enough. That may be the case, but under ordinary circumstances, you earn your way into a supervisory role in the Massachusetts State Police through both not just time, but time and experience, correct?
We take an exam and then get promoted based on the exam.
Part of the responsibility that you have as a supervisor is to make sure that the case is properly investigated, and that may include making sure you have the right suspects right? The array of suspects that may exist, you want to make sure, and you supervise to make sure that that array of suspects is appropriate and proper, correct?
In every investigation, we follow the evidence, we follow the statements made, provided by eyewitnesses, witnesses in the case. Sometimes the defendants or suspects provide statements to us. At many instances, those could be contradictory statements. We follow the evidence in every investigation, and that evidence determines who the suspect, person of interest, or ultimately the defendant is.
And you want to make sure that you gather, or that your subordinates gather that evidence in an appropriate and objective way. It's obviously the foundation of a good investigation, correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Maybe. You obviously, as a supervisor, want to make sure, you talked about following the evidence, you want to make sure that that evidence is gathered in a way that is adequate, in a way that is objective, in a way that is unbiased, so that you can gather the evidence that will lead you to the right folks, right? To the right suspects.
We always want to gather as much evidence as possible. We conduct that gathering in the most appropriate ways possible. Sometimes there are tough decisions that have to be made where we have to either decide whether we're collecting evidence A or evidence B, and those decisions have to be made on the spot. At times it's a time-sensitive matter. At times it's a decision made by a group putting their heads together and deciding on that. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's the most
Let's try it again.
Accurate explanation.
Okay, you done?
I am.
Okay, let's try that again. You want to make sure that the evidence, as a supervisor, supervising your subordinates, you want to make sure that the evidence is gathered in an appropriate way, in an objective way, correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. You're also doing everything you can as a supervisor and someone with the experience to make sure that the highest levels of integrity and those demands are met in any investigation that you work on.
If there was a question of integrity, those individuals would not be part of an investigation.
That includes knowing, obviously, what your subordinates are doing.
During the conduct of the investigation, during the process of us investigating a crime, yes, we know what is going on, because every bit of information that comes in needs to be shared, and we need to make sure the whole team is aware of all the evidence and information that is available to us at the time.
You want to make sure that, I'm going to use a colloquial phrase, you keep tabs on those who are reporting to you, correct? What are they doing? What are they engaged in? When are they coming and going? Who are they interviewing? Things of that nature. Basic investigative things, correct?
For the most part, you can't track every single person all the time, but this is a very serious line of work. A lot depends on it. We speak for those that can no longer speak for themselves. So we do our best to conduct every investigation with integrity, honor, and get to the truth.
If you don't properly supervise, and I'm talking about your role now as a supervisor, if you don't properly engage in that supervision, it obviously increases chances for mistakes. It increases chances for bias to see things. It increases chances that something could affect the adequacy of the investigation, correct?
That's a lot there. Can you repeat that, please? Maybe one section at a time?
Sure. If you don't properly supervise your subordinates in an investigation, failing to properly supervise them could increase the chances that mistakes are made. Is that right?
Yes, that is one possibility.
Okay, let's break it down. It also increases chances that there could be inherent biases that are seeping into the case that you want to make sure doesn't happen, correct?
I believe that human beings all have biases, but during the investigation, those biases do not affect, especially in this case, they did not affect any outcome of the investigation.
So I wasn't even talking about this case. I was talking about cases in general and your supervisory role in general. Your job as a supervisor is to seek out and make sure that there are no biases in an investigation, correct?
Absolutely.
You want to make sure that any investigation, as a supervisor, any investigation that is under your charge, under your supervision, is done adequately and professionally. Is that right?
Yes, that is right.
And there's a chain of command for that, right? Meaning someone under your charge needs to report up the chain of command to you, and you have supervisors to whom you report, correct?
Yes, it's a paramilitary structure, and it is in order for the colonel to keep command and control over the entire agency of 2,000 plus people, it is absolutely necessary for there be a reporting up and down within the ranks of the Massachusetts State Police.
And you have, by the way, what's your chain of command? Who did you report to back in 2022?
I directly reported to Detective Lieutenant Tully.
Especially, you mentioned this case a second ago, especially in a case like this, a homicide investigation, especially in a homicide investigation involving a police officer. You have to maintain your knowledge, an intimate knowledge of those under your command, under your charge, to ensure that what they're doing fits what you believe to be the proper protocol. In other words, you're not just going to let people loose. You're going to watch what they're doing and actually supervise them, correct?
Yes, absolutely. We are professionals, and we conduct each and every investigation with that in mind and with
that's
the integrity that is necessary.
You just use the word I was about to use. That ensures the accuracy of the investigation, correct?
Yes.
To use your word, that ensures the integrity of the investigation. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
As you sit here today, do you believe that this investigation, now I'm going to turn to this investigation, was conducted with professionalism, with competence, at the highest level of integrity?
This investigation was conducted professionally with integrity, and all the evidence collected, all the statements collected pointed in one direction. There was no bias influence on the evidence, on the information that was collected, or which direction the investigation pointed naturally.
Former Trooper Michael Proctor was the person who was the assigned case agent, the lead case agent in this particular investigation, correct?
Michael Proctor was the case officer for this investigation.
He was assigned, ultimately, to use another phrase, as the lead investigator, wasn't he?
I'm not going to agree with you.
Is there a reason that you want to try to distance yourself from naming Michael Proctor as the lead investigator in the case? Is there some reason?
Wait a minute, this sounds familiar. We've already watched this. I was like, why does this feel like he's repeating shit from the other day? It's because he is. It's because they broke it into 2 days. Now we have to go forward. Okay. I think it was, yeah, it's right here. Because didn't they end it? This is confusing. I think it's right here. Going forward. Yeah, because he has the big ass water and the plate glass with the fucking, this guy.
So you were notified on January 29th, 2022, that a Boston police officer was found gravely injured in front of 34 Fairview in the lawn, in the yard, correct?
No, that is not correct.
What were you notified of?
When the notification came in, it was that there was a male party found in the snowbank.
At some point, you learned that male party is John O'Keefe, a police officer, correct?
At some point, we did learn that he was a Boston police officer.
Matter of fact, you learned that morning. May not have been the first notification, but certainly early that morning, you knew that John O'Keefe was a Boston police officer.
At some point, we learned. I don't remember.
Also, isn't it weird that per jury, if you separate it, it's per jury, as in, you know, it depends on, I don't know, per jury, like it could be 2 words per jury, per the jury, like that perjury, but also it is also a court word, perjury on its own. I don't know. Maybe the BetterHelp lady was right. Maybe I do need to stop smoking pot. It's fine.
Exactly when, if it was morning, just after 12, I don't know when, but we did learn that he was a Boston police officer.
And I'm not asking about what Proctor learned, but what you learned. You learned that he was a Boston police officer, correct?
At some point, I learned that he was a Boston police officer, yes.
And on January 29th, did you ever respond to 34 Fairview Road at any time?
On January 29th, 2022, at no point in time.
Uh-oh. Satan's mad. Why, Satan? Why are you mad? Do you not have mom? Don't worry. We have mom for you. It is Darlene and Mia tomorrow.
Did I, or Michael Proctor, who was with me the whole time, ever respond to 34 Fairview Road?
So the answer to my question, very simply, is no. Right?
That's correct.
You just answered this question as well, but I want to make sure we're absolutely clear. Your Mayor Approach, I don't want that tiger to be in this way. At no point on January 29th, 2022, did Michael Proctor respond to 34 Fairview either, did he?
No, he did not.
You already indicated and you described in some detail that Massachusetts State Police took over the investigation from Canton Police Department around 8 or 9 a.m., correct? They're following certain protocols.
Yes, at some point in the morning, once it was determined that Mr. O'Keefe was gravely injured and was being transported to the hospital with no signs of life, and we were advised that he had an estimated 10% of survival rate, we engaged our services and responded to Canton Police to begin the investigation.
So the answer to that question is yes, correct?
Yes.
You'll often work with a local police agency, even though a police department, even though Massachusetts State Police may have statutory jurisdiction over the case because it's a homicide, right?
Yes, part of our.
Also, isn't it fucked up that statutory sounds like a breaded chicken? It's chicken statutory. You know what I mean? Doesn't it sound like come get some chicken statutory at Fupa de Beppo, right? It doesn't sound like sex assault. It sounds like a delicious dish. Chicken statutory. I don't know. Is that too much? Good morning, T Wade. Howdy, 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 friend. We're watching old Blockhead tell us about mafia tricks.
Mission is to aid and assist local police departments when they request it. In this specific situation, as I stated earlier, the DA's office has exclusive jurisdiction over death investigations, and our office has that responsibility of investigating those cases. But we work very well with local departments.
So the answer to that question is yes. Correct?
Yes.
If you can answer my question yes or no, this will go a lot faster. In this case, even though you oftentimes work with local law enforcement.
Also, jumping in to say, whoa, that looked crazy. I'm just going to do this from now on, like Mr. Wilson. Jumping in here to say, this part reminds me the most of my dad. When he's like, this could take all day, and Yuri's like, I don't give a fuck. And I think that that's the thing I got from him the most. Like, so what if we talk for 10 hours? Who cares? And most people are like, I don't have that much time to talk, and that is too much talking. And I'm like, I could fucking do that 30 hours. Like, that's just how I am. That's how my dad is. His nonchalant attitude right there about wasting everyone's time is the most Eastern Bloc shit I've ever seen. And I'm just like that. God damn
it. Agencies, it was determined that you would not continue working with Canton PD because of a conflict or the perception of a potential conflict of interest, correct?
To alleviate any perception, not that one existed, the Canton Police Department recused themselves from being involved in the interview portion of the investigation.
And that's in no small part because the lawn on which Mr. O'Keefe was found belongs to to Brian Albert, and Kevin Albert, Brian Albert's brother, worked as a detective at Canton Police Department. Correct?
That was my understanding why they chose to take those steps.
Your first documented action in this case was to call the medical examiner's office. First documented action. Not the first thing you did, but the first thing that you documented that you did was to call the medical examiner's office at about 10:41 a.m., correct?
In what respect are you saying first documented action?
There's a report where we can look at the earliest thing that you did, and it's actually written down and documented. You know what I mean by documented? Written on a piece of paper.
In that respect of documentation, I would have to look into it. I believe there was something probably before that, since there was a documentation of us getting notified of the incident.
At 10:41, let me just ask it a little bit more straightforward if I can, get to the point. At 10:41 a.m., you called the medical examiner's office to inform them that Mr. O'Keefe, quote, was struck in the face with a cocktail glass, or at least appeared to be, correct?
That is in part what I advised the medical examiner's office, where they are responsible for the medical portion of...
Objection, Your Honor. May we approach briefly?
Okay. All right, so Sergeant, I'm going to ask you to do your best to answer the question that's asked.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you contact the medical examiner's office in the morning of January 29th, 2022?
Yes.
And did you state to them that there's a possibility that the decedent, John O'Keefe, was struck in the face with a cocktail glass?
I don't recall my words exactly, but that sounds accurate to what I might have said.
At least your initial investigation during those early morning hours, those critical hours, led you to believe at least that there was a possibility that there was a physical altercation, correct?
Yes.
What steps did you take at that moment to determine whether or not anybody in the house may have been involved in that physical altercation that you thought was a possibility?
That's a compound question. I have to answer it separately.
Answer it however you want to. It's an open-ended question, which is unlike me. What steps did you take to, at that moment, to determine whether or not anybody in the house could have been involved in that possible physical altercation that you just described?
We interviewed the homeowner and two witnesses that were in that house.
You never went into the house, did you? On January 29th, at least.
I personally did not go in the house.
You did not secure that house or remove the occupants, did you?
Which day?
January 29th. I'm talking about the morning of January 29th.
I did not know.
You did not secure the yard as a crime scene, correct?
That's correct.
You didn't conduct any search of that house?
No, I did not.
You didn't take any photographs of the interior of that house.
I did not.
You didn't ask a forensic criminalist to join you and process the house, correct?
That is correct.
You didn't set up a crime scene log to determine who is coming in and going out of the potential crime scene.
I did not.
No one actually documented the crime scene by taking contextual photographs and then close-up photographs, etc., during those early morning hours, correct?
I cannot speak to that. I was not there.
So the answer is you didn't do that. And you didn't cause that to be done.
I did not do that.
Crime Scene Services Section, what is that?
It's a unit, specialized unit on the state police. They are specially trained with documentation, photographs, video, latent fingerprints, foot and tire impressions, footwear and tire impressions. They assist other investigators in documenting and processing scenes.
Did you contact CSSS to process the house or the yard or the area adjacent to the yard?
Which house, sir?
34 Fairview, Sergeant Buchanan. You think I was talking about a different house?
Yes, I did.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Let's stick with 34 Fairview, where John O'Keefe's body was found. Did you call CSSS out to the scene to process that house?
I did not contact Crime Scene Services on January 29th to the area of 34 Fairview Road to the lawn where John O'Keefe's body was found.
You mentioned that you conducted interviews that day, correct?
That's correct.
Where were those interviews conducted?
The first interview was conducted at Canton Police Department. The second, third, and fourth were conducted at a residence in Canton. The fifth.
I'm sorry, what was the first interview at Canton Police Department that morning?
Sergeant Good.
So other than Sergeant Good, I'm talking about civilian witnesses. You mentioned 3 civilian witnesses. Where were those 3 witnesses interviewed?
At a residence in Canton.
But not at 34 Fairview, just to be clear.
They were not at 34 Fairview, no.
They had been at 34 Fairview, though, hadn't they? All 3 of them.
Yes, they had.
As a matter of fact, Michael Proctor spoke to Mark in this moment while she was at 34 Fairview, right?
I don't know.
Weren't you with Michael Proctor when he spoke to Jennifer McCabe?
Which time, sir?
The first time he called her to set up the interview that morning on January 29th.
I don't know where Jennifer McCabe was. I can't testify to that. I have no idea.
So if that call was made, if she talked about that call being made, that was made by Michael Proctor, not by outside of your presence.
Can you repeat that?
Sure. If there was a call made to Jennifer McCabe by Michael Proctor that morning, that was outside your presence.
Not necessarily. I just did not know where she was.
So the only 3 people you interviewed were Jennifer McCabe, Matt McCabe, and Brian Albert, correct?
Not correct.
Who else?
Also, isn't it funny that the theory part, like, he didn't want to cop to using the word theory or to knowing what theory meant, even though he used the word theory. And then he accepted Alan Jackson's theory of what theory meant after realizing he used the word theory. That is the most Eastern Bloc shit. It's like, I didn't say that. Yes, you did. Here, look. Well, I don't know what I mean. Well, did you mean this? Well, I guess so. Like, that's so Bookeekee. It's so Bookeekee, dude.
The defendant.
Other than Miss Reed, and before you got to Miss Reed, because you didn't get to Miss Reed till 3:34, correct? In the
afternoon. I don't know exactly what time we began the conversation.
I'm talking about in the morning when you were trying to figure out what was going on. You interviewed 3 people.
Yes, we did.
3 civilians.
At one point, we interviewed 3 civilians, the homeowner at 34 Fairview Road, and 2 witnesses that were with Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant the night prior, and then one of the witnesses that was with the defendant when Mr. O'Keefe was discovered.
And these are individuals that you made the assessment of either been with or been with at the time or shortly before he was last seen alive, right?
Based on the information that we had at that time, one of the individuals was with him right before he was seen alive, and the other 2, one of the individuals was with him right before he was last seen alive, and 2 of the individuals saw the defendant and Mr. O'Keefe together.
And those same 2 individuals were also with Mr. O'Keefe just minutes before he was last seen alive. Correct?
All three of the individuals were with Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant at Waterfall, yes.
And all three of the individuals were also at 34 Fairview when Mr. O'Keefe arrived. You had that information, didn't you?
We did not have information of Mr. O'Keefe arriving at the house. He was dropped off on the lawn.
And all three people, all three, were either named McCabe or Howard. Those are the two people you had information from, correct?
Which information? We had information for a lot of different sources at that point in time.
I'm talking about the first three interviews that you did, the first three civilian interviews you did that morning. Still on the same thing. You mentioned talking to three people at a residence in Canton. Brian Albert, Tim McCabe, Matt McCabe. All three were at 34 Fairview when they indicated John O'Keefe arrived in an SUV. They all told you that, right?
They were inside the home when the defendant and Mr. O'Keefe arrived.
Question: is it Delaware where Rehoboth is? Because I had to do some work for a lady once, some OSINT work, and it was a lot of it took place in Delaware, and I learned so much about Delaware, and I didn't know that Delaware was even. It was like Diet Nebraska. I was like, oh, this is a place, and I just remember Rehoboth coming up a lot, and I've seen it a lot recently, and it makes me laugh. That is a fun word. Also, it is like Monchichi, but Bonquiqui is the that's the lady from, oh, you're saying Bookeekee. Yeah, it does. It sounds like Monchichi, which I love that word. And he does kind of look like a Monchichi. Hold on.
In the SUV.
These are the very people that would have a motive to lie if they were somehow involved. Right?
Can you answer that, Sergeant?
No, Your Honor.
You're a professional investigator, correct?
That's correct.
Homicide investigator, right?
That's correct.
Many years of experience, right? Say yes?
I don't know what many means to you, but
How many years of experience do you have?
in homicide,
Right.
10 next week.
Okay. That's not many.
I didn't answer the first time because I don't know what you would think many is.
Right. Suspects ever lied to you?
Yes.
Suspects lie to you all the time, don't they?
All the time is not accurate. They lie about certain things to create an alibi for themselves and state contradicting facts or fabricated stories.
And if someone
all the
has
time would mean that they're constantly lying about everything.
Do you understand the colloquialism all the time?
I do not know the term colloquialism.
Okay.
Yo, that was my favorite moment. That's what I've been waiting for. First of all, okay, I ripped on him for this, but I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be a bitch. Listen, I worry how much I'm gonna get shit for this. I worry how much I think. Can Dad be a little insecure with you guys for a minute? I had to turn this. I had to quit at the text messages, but I was feeling about ready to quit the whole trial yesterday before them, with the amount of times I said to myself, oh my God, am I Bookeekee? Like, the amount of times I related to him was concerning. And I was like, I don't want to get protective because he's an asshole and a piece of shit and definitely a liar and totally like fucked up. But it was kind of hilarious to me how much I relate to Yuriy. Bookeekee. No, I swear to Christ it is. Like that moment right there where he goes, I don't know the word conconchialism. Like the way he said it. Like, I have always been an advocate for if you don't know a word, just speak up and say you don't know it. Just be honest. Don't try to make it fit. And if you try to make it fit and you fuck up, then be honest and be like, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what that fucking word meant. And I don't know why I used it. So I do that a lot. Yeah, it's the English second language thing. Like I'm about to cry at how funny it is to me. The amount of times I've been like, I said it confidently too. This is my favorite way. If you don't know a word, I'm going to teach you kids something. If you don't know a word, not only should you like I'm crying laughing at this shit. Fuck. If you don't know a word, the best way to admit it is to not only ask what the word means, but you should announce that you don't know it, and you should do that with confidence. I don't know why, but it's what I've done, and it works. I've been in full-blown fights or arguments with someone where it's like, we're about to not be friends. We're about to break up. Where you're about to be a no-contact family member. Like, that serious. We're in the middle of the fight. I'm like, I don't know what that fucking word means. And every time people are kind of stunned, but then they tell you. They help you out usually. But like, I know, darling, but earlier he says it again later, and he's like, can you get, was it theory? He's like, can you get me a dictionary? At that, like, that was ridiculous. You know, that was over the board. That was just him being fighty, like not like a kid who doesn't want to put his fucking socks on or some shit, or like when Mookie's runs and won't let me put the collar on, but he wants to go on a walkie. Like, oh, he fucking heard that, his ears went up. But for me, it's like, yeah, that moment when he's like, I don't know what conconcolonism is. Like, I lost it. I laughed so hard, and I was like, dude, I feel you, dude. Like, sometimes I hear a word and I'm like, I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Like, I just need to be told just once. Like, I'd rather just know than try to use it. But the fact that he did it in court on the stand after, what was it? He was in the Marines. He risked his life for everyone. He came from a war-torn nation. He became naturalized. He's here. He wants to serve his country. He wants to fucking work for the Massachusetts State Police, but he can't stop drinking because he's from the Ukraine and he's fucking Eastern Bloc, and they literally piss vodka and drink Four Loko for breakfast. And like, this motherfucker's over here like, I don't know what that fucking word means. He can't say it. And I'm like, I feel mean laughing, but it's so funny to me. Like, the way he just said it indignantly. He was indignant. He's like, and he's the type of guy who's like, who would say, I don't know what indignant means. Can you define it for me? And would say it with indignation. Like, it's so fucking funny to me. I don't know what conconcolonism is. The confidence in which he announces this in court. Yes, I'm the lead homicide investigator for the state of Massachusetts. And I don't know what that fucking word means. He could have said that word, but he said conconcolonism, like he tried to. This is so mean, but I'm going back. Because, yeah, I get it. Are we picking on someone who's a little TikToked? Yeah, probably. But like, I would do this. I do this. So I feel like it's okay. Conconcolonism. I don't know what colloquialism is. It's like, okay, hon. We'll fucking tell you, I guess. Like, I don't know what conconcolonism is.
Many years of experience, right? Say yes?
I don't know what many means to you, but
How many years of
And also, I don't know what many means. Like, dude, at this point, you don't know what any words mean. Like, but conconcolonism, I totally get. Totally get.
Yeah.
in homicide, 10 next week.
Okay. That's not many.
I didn't answer the first time because I don't know what you would think many is.
Suspects ever lied to you?
Yes.
Suspects lie to you all the time, don't they?
All the time is not accurate. They lie about certain things to create an alibi for.
I think I went too far, didn't I? But also, he's about to make a really good point. If I didn't go too far, we'll watch it again. I don't care. Like, he's about to make a really good point. Alan Jackson, this is the biggest dunkums. He did such a hard dunk. I mean, he probably is the one who smushed Yuri's head down into his fucking neck. Like, this dude looks like he's been dropped on his neck more than Hulk Hogan. He's fucked. And I mean, he also looks like Koslov from the WWE in a scary way, but also like Gunta, aka Volta. Anyway, he like the sickest shit. Like it was better than my cousin Vinny moments. The sickest shit happened when he used all the time, and then Yuri's like, well, it cannot be all the time. This is not part of every time. And then Yuriy used all the time or something, like always or all the time. And he said it, and then all of a sudden Jackson's like, ah ha ha. It was like that moment where I don't know, where a hitchhiker picks up someone or someone picks up a hitchhiker, and then it's like they're both the serial killer. Like it was like like the fucking Spider-Man. I got you. Like it was just this moment where it was like, what the fuck am I watching here? This is fucking hilarious.
For a lot of different sources at that point in time.
I'm talking about the first three interviews that you did, the first three civilian interviews you did that morning. Still on the same thing. You mentioned talking to three people at a residence in Canton. Brian Albert, Tim McCabe, Matt McCabe. All three were at 34 Fairview when they indicated John O'Keefe arrived in an SUV. They all told you that, right?
They were inside the home when the defendant and Mr. O'Keefe arrived in the SUV.
These are the very people that would have a motive to lie if they were somehow involved, right?
Can you answer that, Sergeant?
No, Your Honor.
You're a professional investigator, correct?
That's correct.
Homicide investigator, right?
That's correct.
Many years of experience, right? Is that yes?
I don't know what many means to you, but
Let me look at how many years of experience do you have?
in homicide, 10 next week.
Okay. That's not many.
I didn't answer the first time because I don't know what you would think many is.
Right. Suspects ever lie to you?
Yes.
Suspects lie to you all the time, don't they?
All the time is not accurate. They lie about certain things to create an alibi for themselves and state contradicting facts or fabricated stories.
And if someone
all the
has
time would mean that they're constantly lying about everything.
Do you understand the colloquialism all the time? Suspects.
I do not know the term colloquialism.
Okay, let's try it a different way. If these three individuals were involved in the death of John O'Keefe or knew others who were involved in the death of John O'Keefe, who they were close to, they would have a motive to lie about that, correct?
Gotcha.
But you took these three individuals just at their word. Based on
the term colloquialism.
Okay, let's try it a different way.
A term. Yes.
Suspects lie to you all the time, don't they?
All the time is not accurate. They lie about certain things to create an alibi for themselves and state contradicting facts or fabricated stories.
And if someone
all the
has
time would mean that they're constantly lying about everything.
Do you understand the colloquialism all the time?
I do not know the term colloquialism.
Okay, let's try it a different way. If these three individuals were involved in the death of John O'Keefe or knew others who were involved in the death of John O'Keefe, who they were close to, they would have a motive to lie about that, correct?
Gotcha.
I do not understand the phrase.
But you took these three individuals just at their word, based on those first three interviews, correct?
No, not correct.
You didn't go in the house. You didn't search the house. We've already talked about that, right?
I did not go into 34 Fairview. No, I did not.
You didn't ask them to come with you down to the station, correct?
That's correct. I did not ask them to come to the station.
As a matter of fact, when you went to interview Jennifer Kate at her home, Brian Albert happened to be there, correct?
He was there, and I was able to conduct the interview at the house with Brian Albert. Yes.
Did you find that odd?
Absolutely not.
Totally normal for you to conduct a formal interview in a homicide case and have an extra person show up at the house just to be there?
Absolutely. Cooperating witnesses always.
Life's a bit. Remember how we're talking about chicken statutory? Sprades is like a garnish.
Try and be assisting. So cooperating witnesses would assist us.
You use the word always. You don't know what all the time means. Are they always part of the assistant?
Well, they're cooperating. It's in the nature.
They always.
Okay, maybe I misspoke. They are cooperating witnesses. So always is such a finite, definitive statement. I apologize for using it.
And if an investigator were keeping an open mind, right, open to all possibilities at the beginning of the investigation, someone that you now are calling a cooperating witness might well be a suspect who's lying, correct?
Yes,
That's a possibility.
That is a possibility, yes.
I want to shift gears for a second.
Yo, every time this part happens, what is this, 5531? I want to make a note of this. I have an idea for a video. Every time I see Yannetti staring at Alessi, it's always like, you goddamn genius. Like he wants to rip his clothes off. Like, you motherfucker. I love you so goddamn much. I want to be your best friend. Like, Yannetti looks at Alessi like he's in love with him, and I love it. Like, he respects him. He's like, teach me your ways, father. And I always, anytime I see Alessi furiously riding and them looking, I just imagine he's drawing the Stussy S, and I laugh to myself.
Sergeant Buchanan, can ask you about some of the physical evidence in the case. You and Mr. Proctor collected the gray sweatshirt and the orange T-shirt that we saw entered into evidence today, correct?
That's correct.
You talked about finding that evidence at Good Samaritan Hospital. Is that right?
That is where it was seized from, yes.
You described it as being on the floor, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Where on the floor was it when you first saw it? Was it on the hospital floor, not the ambulance floor, correct?
When I first saw it, it was on the hospital floor, correct?
All right.
Yes.
Take a look at that photograph, please.
Yes.
Do you recognize that, sir?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize it?
It's one of the photographs taken from Mr. O'Keefe's emergency department room.
Do you recognize the shirt or shirts that you earlier described as being in that photograph?
There is an orange shirt depicted on the floor to the left side, yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask that be marked and entered in evidence. Okay. Well, that's being marked. Let me approach very briefly. Your Honor, with permission, may I publish?
Yes.
Sergeant Buchanan, this is Exhibit 110. You just mentioned seeing an orange shirt. Do you have a...
Okay, I feel like it's time to explain what Sprades really is. May as well come clean. No pun intended. One time, me and the auntie we never see anymore, who got stuck in Pakistan, came up with an idea. I don't remember if we were talking about Shark Tank. I don't remember what it was, but... And also, I don't know what purpose this serves. It's actually really negative purpose. So I don't know why it would. And also, like, I've had this discussion with people before, Auntie, but like talking to Auntie about this was the first time I felt free to display the idea. Basically, I presented it to Auntie like Shark Tank, and she said the world needs to know about this. And we brought it up in a live, and I don't remember how. It was organic. It was just slid into a discussion. And again, I don't know why we brought this into the lexicon. Part of me feels like the world wasn't ready for such an innovation. And part of me also wonders if I'm a terrible person. But the idea is this, like AIDS, right? But you spray it on people. Now, again, it serves no purpose other than to cause harm. So it's not a good product. It's not a good product. Shark Tank would probably be like, no, don't test it. We don't want that. But also the idea of like someone gets in your face, they threaten you, they're like, I'm gonna beat your ass, Wanda, and take the kids. And then you're like, Sprades. And then it made sense at the time. And then it caught on. And I don't know how we ended up using it as a noun, an adjective, an adverb. It has become everything. But it's just spray on AIDS. And also, again, like, AIDS is bad. Like, we shouldn't want that ever. We don't want that. It's bad. But just, they're making everything so streamlined and easy that, like, you may as well do the same with diseases. So just spray AIDS, bye. Like, we don't have to go through the whole process. Like, may as well just have it in a can. And again, it only causes harm and it serves no purpose. But eventually we started saying Sprades a lot and just using it. It's self-defense. It's Sprades. So I don't know. I mean, maybe it could work. I don't know. But do we want it to? I don't know. So that's a history of Sprades. And it's also a garnish for chicken statutory.
Laser pointer with you. If you don't, I can
But you're not supposed to eat it. It's just a garnish.
grab you one.
I do.
Can you point for the jurors where you were describing the orange? Just pick whichever TV you want to use.
Yes.
This is
It did, yes.
That's a beast. That should work. Just tell me what TV you're going to look at so the jurors understand and can follow.
I'll do the one to my right so the jurors can see. There is something orange right there on the floor.
Does that appear to be on top of something darker?
It does appear to be on top of possibly a darker item of clothing, possibly the jeans. I'm not sure exactly from here what that is.
Do you believe as you sit here, and I'm asking it open because I don't know what the answer is. Do you believe as you sit here that that's the orange shirt and or the gray sweatshirt and or the jeans?
If we can zoom in, I could probably pick out the pattern. So from here, it looks like it's a cut fabric, indicating that it most likely is the orange shirt. The jeans, you can see the belt loop through the jeans on the left side. I would say that is Mr. O'Keefe's clothing that we picked up and bagged.
Okay, if you could unzoom that for me. One more question. You see Mr. O'Keefe's left leg and right leg from about the little lower than mid-thigh down, correct?
Mid-thigh down, I see his legs, yes.
Okay, you see his right knee?
The interior portion of it, yes.
Okay, do you see any scrapes or marks or cuts or abrasions on that right knee?
Not from this point, no.
Thank you, we can take that down.
Yes.
Oh, the laser point? Which one? I think it's this one. They're both the same.
I have one more question on that. Okay. Sorry about that. Can we display the photo one more time, Ms. Johnson? We don't need to turn the lights off. Take a look to the left. Could you zoom in on the chair? Do you see that item sitting on the chair, Sergeant?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
That is either mine or Michael Proctor's notepad binder.
Thank you. We can take that down. Concerning the two shirts you earlier testified to as being sopping wet, did you bag those shirts? Well, did you bag those shirts or did Michael Proctor bag those shirts?
We bagged them together. If my memory is not failing me, I believe he picked it up and I held the bag open. But I could be wrong. Maybe I could tell him he held the bag open.
That's fine. The two of you together got them in a bag.
Yes.
Was it a paper bag or a plastic bag?
It was a large paper bag, the size of like a lawn leaf bag you would get for disposing your yard waste.
Okay. Is it specifically an evidence bag or was it something that y'all came up with on the spot?
It's a bag that was provided by Crime Scene Services.
Okay. So it's an official law enforcement type bag. What a grocery bag.
It was not a grocery bag. It was a large bag.
Okay. Understood. Did both shirts go in the same bag?
All the clothing items that were in the pile went into the same bag.
Does that include the jeans and belt and boxer shorts?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. You went from Good Sam, Good Samaritan, straight to Dighton, correct?
Yes.
And you are the one that put the bag in your the super cab of your pickup truck.
Yes.
And then from Dighton, you went over to Canton PD. Is that right?
Yes, we did.
And then from Canton PD, ultimately, before the night was out, you ended up back at the Norfolk DA's office, which is where you and Michael Proctor officed at the time, correct?
Yes.
When exactly, if you recall, did you lay out the clothing? You indicated it was sopping wet. You laid it out on a butcher paper. When was that?
It was during the evening hours once we arrived to the Canton office.
It was about 10 p.m., I'm guessing?
No, it was before that.
It was before 10?
Yes.
Just a moment.
Yes.
Sergeant, I just want to get the record as clear as possible. Did you testify at a hearing last year, or the proceeding last year here in this courtroom, that it was about 10 o'clock at night when you finally got the clothing laid out on the butcher paper?
Based on the context on the question, I might have estimated to be around 10. I would have to take a look at the exact language being used.
That's right. I'm not trying to hold you to anything. I just want to make sure we get it as clear as possible. May I approach?
Yes.
I'd like to question, sir. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Sergeant, does that refresh your recollection as to about the time that you ended up at the office to lay out those items on the butcher paper?
That refreshes my memory to my testimony prior.
And that was about your prior testimony. It was about 10 p.m.
When asked about what time the items were laid out, I indicated previously it was 10 o'clock approximately.
You didn't stay there all night with those clothes?
No, I did not.
You left the clothes with Michael Proctor, did you not?
I can't testify to leaving them, quote unquote, with Michael Proctor. We laid them out together in the drying area on the butcher paper. And then at some point I secured from the office. I don't have a memory if he left with me or if he remained to do additional tasks in the office too. No.
You indicated that those clothes stayed in that room starting on January 29th, 2022, so that they could dry, correct?
That's correct, sir.
Ultimately, they were bagged after they were dried, correct?
At some point they were, yes.
Who had access to that room where they were laid out on butcher paper in those intervening, those subsequent days?
Anyone that had access to the office with a proper key card authorization would have access to that area.
Of course, that includes you as a supervisor, correct?
It does.
It also includes Michael Proctor.
It does.
And those items were bagged on February 4th. Is that right?
I don't have a specific memory, but if you can show me a document suggesting that and supporting that statement, I will definitely look at it.
So I think while waiting for the piece of paper, you remember looking at the bag with the clothing items within at this point, just the jeans?
Earlier today, sir?
Yes.
I do remember looking at the bag, yes.
Okay, and the bag has a label on it, obviously, that's generated when items are bagged?
It has multiple labels, yes.
Okay. Did you see the label today that indicated it was bagged on February 4th?
I didn't pay attention to it, no.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
If you could take a look at those 3 pages briefly, that's colloquy.
I don't know what the colloquy means. Can you? I see.
May I approach?
Yes.
So, did reviewing that document refresh your recollection as to the date that those items were ultimately bagged and labeled?
Yes, based on the tag on the bag. When I previously looked at it, it appears that the tag was printed on 2/4/22.
And that would be.
It's the tag on the bag for the drunk haggis, sprayeds, and DNA.
Consistent with the time that the items are actually placed in the bag.
I don't know that to be true.
Because you didn't place them in the bag, Trooper Proctor did, correct? I'm sorry, former Trooper Proctor did.
I don't know who placed them in the bag.
But it wasn't you.
It was not me, no.
But the case officer, Mr. Proctor, had access to that room and was taking control over those clothing items for those 6 days that they were drying on the butcher paper, correct?
That's not necessarily correct. It could have been the evidence officers bagging the evidence once it's dried and processing it. I highly doubt Trooper Proctor had access to the beast machine to print that label.
Right. I'm not asking if he printed the label. I'm asking if he bagged the item and walked it up to the evidence locker.
Also, what is the beast machine? Did he say beast machine or beat machine? Because if they're out here making hot beats, why wasn't I invited? And also, if he said beast machine, we didn't go over that in class. I don't know what that is. I don't know what beat machine means. Excuse me. I don't know what colloquialism is, and I don't know what beat machine means. Can you tell me about the beat machine?
When I previously looked at it, it appears that the tag was printed on 2/4/22.
And that would be consistent with the time that the items are actually placed in the bag.
I don't know that to be true.
Because you didn't place them in the bag, Trooper Proctor did, correct? I'm sorry, former Trooper Proctor did.
I don't know who placed them in the bag.
But it wasn't you.
It was not me, no.
But
oh yeah, by the way, that's an Eastern Bloc thing. Like the whole getting weird. Yeah, that's an Eastern Bloc thing. And also, like, my dad does that, but he doesn't get that kind. His shit is like, if I like my buddy Michael, I brought him with me once to meet my dad because he's been my best friend for like 15 years. And I was like, Michael, come meet my dad. I found. He's like, oh, you've been talking about that guy. And I'm like, yeah, let's go. You want to meet him? Because I found him. And then, because I had to go find my dad because it's a whole thing. Anyway, found my dad when I was 25. And, because I did the OSINT. Nothing gets past me. You try to run away, then I will catch you. Sneaky sneak, put you in cage, make you my daddy. So, I brought Michael with me, and he said, is this your boyfriend? And I said, no. And he looked at him and went, what, are you gay? And then he made him take a beer to prove it that he wasn't. And I was like, what is this? He's like, I don't care if you are. And I was like, stop. What the fuck? It's just a thing. They're just like, oh, he's a little gay boy. And I'm like, stop. Don't do that. It's an Eastern Bloc thing. They're all like that.
The case officer, Mr. Proctor, had access to that room and was taking control over those clothes.
And by the way, when they do meet gay people, they go, do you think I am cute? Come with me. Let's get tattoos. It's so fucking weird.
Those clothing items for those 6 days that they were drawing on butcher paper, correct?
That's not necessarily correct. It could have been the evidence officers bagging the evidence once it's dried and processing it. I highly doubt Trooper Proctor had access to the beast machine to print that label.
Right. I'm not asking if he printed the label. I'm asking if he bagged the item and walked it up to the evidence locker and the label was printed up there.
Again, I don't know who bagged the items.
That would be normal protocol, though, correct?
Somebody else bagging the items?
No, the case officer bagging the items. He's the one that seized it along with you. He laid them out on the butcher paper along with you. He would be the one to gather them up. I mean, the evidence officer's not going to come down there and do that without the case officer knowing, correct?
Not necessarily. The evidence officer's responsibility is to handle the evidence. So I don't know who handled the evidence that day.
How would the evidence officer know to go down there? How would he know that there were clothing items being laid out to dry on butcher paper unless the case officer told him?
They would walk by it every day and see it. That's their workstation. So they would know that, hey, this evidence is drying. There's only 4 detectives in the office at that time working on this case. We communicate daily. So they would know that, hey, it's dried. Let's bag it up.
Well, that's a lot of speculation, especially from the supervisor. Who just said, I have no idea. We're not communicating with you.
I was
in Soviet Ukraine with Bookeekee. In Soviet Bookeekee, evidence dries you.
Giving you an explanation of what could have happened.
Right. Speculation about what could have happened, right?
Well, I certainly did not bag that item.
Right. But your best estimate would be knowing the protocols at the MSP and in your unit would be the case officer who's controlling the items of evidence would have bagged it and submitted it into the evidence locker.
I do not know who bagged it.
Also, if I just hopped in at this part and didn't have any context, because he's Eastern Bloc, when he said I didn't bag that item, I genuinely would have thought he meant like I didn't lock down a date with Karen. That's what I would have picked up. So I appreciate AJ repeating and articulating what we're talking about every 3 seconds. That's sick.
So for 6 days, anybody who had access to that room could have handled that clothing in any way they wanted to.
That's correct.
And that includes former Trooper Michael Proctor.
That's correct.
Do you have any kind of log to document what was happening or who was handling those items of clothing during that 6-day period before it was bagged in evidence? Any kind of log?
I don't have a document logging the clothing laying out there. It was documented in reports and processing, I believe.
Have you ever seen a log? Not a report after the fact, but another log, real-time log, indicating who may have come in, handled, or touched, or manipulated those clothes in that 6-day status?
I have never seen a log like that. No.
The fact is, we don't have a single document establishing the chain of custody for those items between January 29th and February 4th. That's correct, isn't it?
That is absolutely not correct.
Where's the log of the document logging what happened to it?
We seized the clothing. It was in our possession. It was transferred for processing.
Sergeant, I'm asking you about a log, a written piece of paper, something that looks like this. It's got writing on it that logs the item between January 29th and February 4th. That doesn't exist, does it?
We did not create a log to document the documentation, so it'd be redundant, really.
You indicated on direct examination that you personally participated in 2 searches at 34 Fairview, one on February 4th, one on February 10th. Is that right?
That is not right.
What did I get wrong?
I was also there on the 3rd, 4th, and 10th.
Who did you go with on the
3rd? That was Trooper DeChico, Michael Proctor, and I conducting the first excavation.
And about what time was that?
It was during the morning hours. I think earlier I said it was somewhere between 8:30 and 9:30. I could have been half an hour later. I'm not exactly positive on the exact time we began the excavation.
And the other 2 searches were the next day, February 4th, and then February 10th.
The next time I was at Fairview Road and involved in a collection of evidence was on the 4th, when Canton PD documented a one piece and I collected. And then the 10th.
It would be so funny if Yuriy was like, and I remember it was the 4th because may the 4th be with you.
Was anything recovered on February, let's take them in order, on February 3rd?
Yes, Mr. O'Keefe's hat, straw, I believe red and clear plastic taillight pieces. Those are the items that were recovered.
That's on the 3rd. Okay, what about the 4th?
The 4th was the red taillight piece that we displayed, I believe, that Canton PD notified me of, and I was already en route there.
When you say Canton PD, who was it that notified you, if you remember?
There was, at the scene, there was Chief Berkowitz, a couple of detectives.
Sergeant Lank, does that sound right?
I do not know. I can't say yes or no. I don't recall specifically. It was raining hard, so I grabbed the item and left.
Okay. Did you write a report? I'm gonna combine these into all 3 dates together. Did you write any report? Actually, I won't do that. Let me ask him individually. Did you write any report about your search on the 3rd?
Somebody authored a report. I'm not sure.
I'm asking about you.
I can't. There's over 100 reports. I'd have to take a look which report documents my activity that day.
Do you remember, as you sit here, authoring a report about your conduct or your activity on February 4th, the next day?
I don't have a memory of it, no.
Do you have a memory of authoring a report yourself about your conduct on February 10th, your activity on February 10th?
I just don't have a memory.
The reality, Sergeant, is that no report was written about any of these searches until November 4th, 2023. Correct?
That could be possible, yes.
So literally the documentation of these 3 searches about which you testified today, the documentation did not exist until, what is that math, 17, 18 months later?
That is not true. Each bag that the evidence went into was documented, the time, location, who recovered it, where it was recovered, and brief description of the items that were recovered from the scene.
And by the way, we're going to get to that in a second, the evidence bags. A report is designed to memorialize exactly what happens, when it happens, why it happened, who was there, what time it happened, things of that nature, correct?
That is one of the purposes, or some of the purposes behind the report, absolutely. Yes.
And the report in this case that documented these 3 searches involving you, Trooper Proctor, I think Trooper DeChico, even Canton PD officers, There was no memorialization in a report until nearly 18 months later. Is that right?
It's possible. Yeah, we write reports at different times. Yeah.
I want to ask you about this February 4th visit to the crime scene. You indicated that sometime in the morning, 8:45, 9 a.m., something like that, you responded?
On the 4th, sir?
On the 4th.
I was driving to work, so I would have to say 8:45 or so. Yeah, I mean, I don't have the exact timestamp, but if you know, if you have something to refresh my memory, I could tell you if that's accurate.
I'm not going to hold you to the exact time. It was in the morning on the 4th.
It was.
Did you know Chief of Police Ken Berkowitz before you responded on the 4th to 34 Fairview?
Yes, I knew who he was. I had met him previously, and he was present on the 29th when the vehicle was delivered to the Sally Port.
He was actually in the Sally Port, at least at some time, when the vehicle was delivered, correct?
He was there at some point. I had a conversation with him.
Okay. Tall guy, short guy?
Chief Berkowitz was a shorter guy.
Okay. Do you know who Brian Higgins is?
I do.
What's your relationship with Brian Higgins? Or what was it? I should be more pointed to this, Sergeant. What was your relationship back in 2022, January 2022?
Brian Higgins was a federal agent, and I crossed paths with him on a couple of investigations, strictly professional relationship, a federal agent and a state trooper.
So not a personal relationship, more of a professional relationship.
Correct.
Did you know him to have a personal relationship with Chief Berkowitz?
I did not know.
Didn't Brian Higgins actually tell you and Michael Proctor in an interview that he had a personal relationship with Chief Berkowitz? He called him one of his better friends. Okay. Sure. During the course of your investigation, did you learn, although you may not have personal knowledge of it, did you learn that Brian Higgins and Chief Berkowitz had some sort of a personal relationship?
If you show me a report stating that, I would like to take a look. If it's written in a report authored by me or that I approved, I will take it for to be fact.
As you sit here now, you don't have a memory of that conversation with Brian Higgins?
Do I have a memory of having a conversation with him and him sharing that information with me?
That's it.
I don't have a memory of him sharing that information, but if you have a report that was authored by me or Michael Proctor or any trooper in our office that says that, I will take it as gospel and testify to it.
Okay. Well, I don't want to take up the time to look for it. We'll put our hands on that. But in the meantime, let me ask you a few other questions. You were contacted and told to respond to 34 Fairview because Chief Berkowitz had been driving by and saw something while he was driving by, correct?
On which day, sir?
February 4th.
I'm sorry?
February 4th.
Yes. He indicated he was driving by and saw a piece of potential evidence.
And he was driving by in a car at speed, correct?
I would take that to be factual. I mean, if he's driving by, I would take it to be in a car
and
at speed.
Did you question Chief Berkowitz about, by the way, about how old was Chief Berkowitz when you met him out at 34 Fairview in 2022?
How old?
How old? Estimate. Was he in his 50s, 60s, 70s?
I have no idea how old Chief Berkowitz was.
He indicated to you that he was driving by and saw a small piece of red taillight from his car. Is that right? Okay. He indicated to you that he was driving by and saw a red something from his car, correct? Did you question Chief Berkowitz after you learned this information about him driving by? Did you question Chief Berkowitz about how he could possibly see a piece of red plastic from his car?
No.
Did you question Chief Berkowitz about why he was driving by 34 Fairview in the first place?
No.
Did you question Chief Berkowitz about the fact that his department had been conflicted from the case, at least in part, because of a, as you put it, a perceived or possible perception of a conflict of interest?
He's all like, Chief Berkowitz was cruising by Fairview to go stargazing. He loves the stars.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question, please?
Chief Berkowitz had the autism and he loved the stars. Please leave him alone.
Did you question Chief Berkowitz about whether or not he was aware that there was a conflict of interest between Canton PD and this investigation?
No, I didn't question, no.
Did you think that was important at the time?
In Soviet Bukenic, conflict interests you.
To talk to him about that conflict of interest.
No.
Because just days earlier, Sergeant, the Canton Police Department had in fact recused himself from interviews. Because
I am a top police officer in my field, LBGTQHD TV candidate.
To prevent any perceived conflict of interest, they recused themselves from being involved in interviews. I wasn't pairing up with Chief Berkowitz to interview the taillight piece. I mean, I don't.
We were not interested in this piece of the tail light, as you say. We wanted to meet up to have sex and touch each other's penises. Yes, we would meet in cop car at Cemetery Daily, and I would touch on his crumb.
I'm trying to get to a point. 3 or 4 days after, 5 days after, 6 days after, KPD recuses itself from the investigation, parts of the investigation, because of perceived conflict of interest. The brother of the homeowner, being a detective, the chief of that department drives by in a car and supposedly sees a piece of plastic. I'm sorry? Okay. Was your understanding, at least at the time, that the whole purpose of the recusal was so there would not be a perception of a conflict of interest, to avoid that?
I didn't give it much thought of the understanding why there was a recusal. I was told that they're not going to conduct interviews with us, and me.
In my country, we do not think before we throw a live grenade at toilet. You see?
Being on the mission of conducting this investigation, assisting with this investigation, collecting evidence, I just knew I needed more manpower. And the Canton police, being, having recused themselves, weren't going to be available to provide that manpower to conduct interviews.
And yet,
Manpower, by the way, is my favorite band. Manpower, they are great LBGTQHD TV band from Brain Tree, which is Tree of the Brain. And they come and they dress up in, one of them, he is a firefighter. One of them, he is a Native American man. One of them, he is a leather jacket guy. And they do dance to a song called YMCA Good Fun Time. And I would like to see Manpower at the next drunk golf on the lake outing. Thank you.
it was the chief of that very department that was standing out in front of 34 Fairview when you pulled up that morning.
With his detectives, they were at the location. They weren't standing outside. They were in their vehicles because it was raining really heavily.
Can we end this?
We can. Hang on. Sure. May I inquire, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning, Sergeant.
Good morning, sir.
Yesterday, when we left off, we had been discussing one of the trips you made out to 34 Fairview, specifically on an occasion in which you met Chief Berkowitz. I want to ask you a couple of questions to follow up on those questions that I asked yesterday. Did Chief Berkowitz ever talk to you about his communications with Brian Albert and or Brian Higgins, either at that time or afterward? Objection. Did you learn that Chief Berkowitz had communicated one way or the other without telling me anything that they said? Did you learn whether or not Chief Berkowitz had communicated with Brian Higgins?
No.
Did you learn that Chief Berkowitz had communicated with Brian Albert? And I'm talking about in the days before you were at 34 Fairview, which was February 4th, from the 29th to February 4th.
No.
You returned to the scene, you indicated on direct examination, on or about February 10th, 2022, to conduct yet another search, correct?
Yes.
And on that particular occasion, you recovered some 6 pieces of red and or clear and or black plastic. Is that how you testified?
There was numerous pieces. The exact number, I don't know. You'd have to refresh my memory with a report.
Okay. There were several pieces. The exact number, I'm not really worried about. There were several. There's more than one.
Yes.
Okay. There were also clear glass pieces, correct?
Again, I don't know exactly, but sort of report can be presented to refresh my memory.
Okay. Let's do that real quick. So you can't actually that's what familiarize yourself with it.
Thank you.
Let me know if you familiarize yourself with that report. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Sergeant, did you have an opportunity to take a look at this report?
I did.
Did that refresh your recollection as to the items generally that you recovered on February 10th?
Yes, I did.
Did you recover approximately 6 pieces of red, black, and clear plastic and 14 pieces of glass and plastic fragments?
Yes, I did.
Okay. You would obviously consider that to be an incredibly important part of the investigation, recovering physical items at the scene of the incident, correct?
Every piece of evidence is important.
Can you describe for the jurors exactly where each of the, let's take them one at a time, where each of the 6 pieces of plastic fragments were found?
All items recovered that day were found in the general vicinity where the other items were also located. The area had been excavated. I've been to that location several times, and it was all located in the general vicinity where it was initially excavated, but also where I was told Mr. John O'Keefe was found on the morning of January 29th, 2022.
So other than saying in the general vicinity, did you seek to actually document where each item was found? In other words, by cross coordinates or some other such manner?
The exact location where each item was recovered from was not documented with a picture or GPS location. It was still within the general vicinity of that 40 to 50 square feet or so, by my approximation, near the flagpole, between the street, the flagpole, and the fire hydrant. It was all the same general vicinity.
So 40 to 50 square feet would be 10 foot by 5 foot square, correct?
Generally speaking, 50, no, 5 by 10, general area.
If I may, Your Honor, if I may, would you agree with me? I'm not going to pull out a measuring tape. Would you agree I'm about 10 feet from you right now?
I would agree with you, yes.
Okay. And from the jury bar, probably about 5 feet from there?
Yes.
So we're talking about a relatively broad area for small pieces of physical evidence to be found. You would agree with that?
I would, again, estimate it was the general area, maybe 10 feet in one direction, 10 feet in another, and 5 feet out, maybe 3 feet out. They were the general area where it was initially excavated and then expanded with the snow melting, and all the pieces were within that general area.
But you were working on an assumption at that point, on an assumption that there was some sort of an impact at 34 Ferry, correct?
I don't understand what you're asking.
You were working on an assumption or a presumption that there was an impact of a physical item, in your view, an SUV, with a human being, correct? That was your presumption at the time.
The evidence was pointing that impact took place because there was damage to the taillight. Large chunks of it was missing, and we were locating pieces that were consistent with texture, color, and size fragments from that SUV on the lawn. So I wasn't assuming anything. The evidence was speaking to us.
You weren't there, correct?
I was there recovering the evidence, yes.
You weren't there at the time of the incident.
No, of course not.
So you were utilizing assumptions and presumptions based on information that was provided to you. Yes or no?
We work by learning information, collecting evidence, and getting that evidence to suggest what happened. That evidence is tested, and then it's all put together into the case.
Use the word to suggest what happened, correct?
Yes.
Another word for a suggestion is if something is suggested to you, you then receive it and assume certain things based on that suggestion.
What we do with suggestions, we corroborate them. A witness statement is, I guess you can say, a suggestion, and then we corroborate it through evidence.
And of course, you make assumptions based on those suggestions, right? Yes or no?
We have theories.
Another term for a theory is an assumption or presumption, correct?
I guess in some respect you can say that,
Okay.
but I'm not going to argue about semantics here.
Well, you'll agree that words matter, right? I mean, you're testifying, so words do matter.
Words do matter. That's important.
So working off of your, as you put it, your theory, you theorized that there was an impact spot at 34 Ferry, correct?
Based on the statement I hit him, I assumed that Mr. O'Keefe was impacted with something. Initial hours of the investigation, we had the statements, I hit him. We had the statements that, oh my God, did I hit him? So utilizing that information with the evidence at that point that we had was a broken cocktail glass. So a theory would be, why is the cocktail glass broken? Because it came into contact with the victim. So that's why my information communicated to the ME's office was a possible domestic involving a glass strike to the victim. As a result, we had to go and see the victim's body and the injuries. So Mr. O'Keefe's injuries presented a certain way, and we learned more information. So the more information that comes in, the more information that we are able to corroborate statements and collective evidence that further corroborates other information is helpful in the investigation. That's how investigations develop. If we knew everything we knew from day one, there wouldn't be a process of developing investigation.
So the answer to my question, Sergeant, is you were working off of a theory, correct? Yes or no?
We were working off a report of an injured male party, and then we developed the information, collected the evidence, and developed the investigation.
Do you know what theory means?
I'm sorry, English is like a third language for me, so if you can bring up the Webster's Dictionary, I can read it out.
You want to pull up the Webster's Dictionary? Right now, we're pull up the Webster's Dictionary to define a word that you used in an answer about 40 seconds ago. We're working off of a theory, quote unquote. You said it, not me. You want to get a dictionary so we can figure out what that would mean?
Why is the tiny man yelling at me like this so much? It makes my feelings in my head hurt. I do not speak this language of rage. Do you have white claw, tiny man? Also, I will be fading out this live. I'm going to end it very abruptly. Do not be scared, my children, when you hear something a little crazy, perhaps, I don't know, something or perhaps something more like
Hello folks, Nuck here. A lot of you have been asking me about my morning routine, so here it is. It's my new teeth. Snort-worthy smile if you ask me. So I like to start my morning by waking up at 2 in the afternoon, get a quick lift, lick, and lurk in before I go off and spend the next several hours in the woods. And this time is mainly for my freeform lurks. I just lurk like no one's watching. Then I head into town to do some casual creeping. I mean, I'm freaking everyone out because I'm getting in my squirms. But you gotta squirm to stay firm. I forget what I'm doing for the next 3 days and get an office job that I absolutely hate. Spend most of my time hiding in the storage closet, but all my coworkers know I'm in there. The next 26 hours I'm purposefully unconscious. Come to so I can try on some tuxes because I'm getting married. Love to Ragnora. I'll practice my funeral for 30 minutes, at which point I gotta pretend to listen to someone tell me about a dream they have, but I'm really just thinking about what I'm gonna say. Then, and this is important, I'll just wait, eerily, for hours. What am I waiting for? A big heap of nothing. I wait to wait. I'll spend 2 minutes trying to create fire with my mind.